Chapter 2446 Displaying Strength. Stop. The middle-aged burly man beside him roared. He charged forward and clawed at Lu Ming. A terrifying force pressed toward Lu Ming. It was obvious that this person was a powerhouse of the Heavenly Emperor realm. Lu Ming's expression changed. He threw Aolwan away and retreated rapidly, avoiding the middle-aged man's attack. Sixth uncle, teach him a lesson. Teach him a lesson. Aolwan stabilized his body and roared. The middle-aged man looked at Lu Ming and said, "Little brother, you look so young, but your cultivation is so profound. I really admire you. I'm also very excited to see a prey. Little brother, why don't you accompany me for a few moves?" Hehe. Lu Ming sneered. After hitting the young one, the old one would come out. He had only used his physical strength and showed that he was a peak emperor. On the other hand, the middle-aged man was a heavenly emperor. Although he was a one-star heavenly emperor, he was far above peak great emperors. Now that he asked Lu Ming to exchange a few moves with him, it was obvious that he was bullying him. However, it was just a one-star heavenly emperor. Why would Lu Ming be afraid? The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled into an inexplicable smile. He nodded and said, "Very well, since Senior has invited me, how could this junior dare to refuse? You agree?" The middle-aged man and the two old men were stunned. They initially thought that Lu Ming would not dare to accept the challenge, and would back off in the face of difficulties, giving up on entering the Dragon Essence pool. They did not expect Lu Ming to actually agree. A cold glint flashed in the depths of the middle-aged man's eyes. He would take this opportunity to teach Lu Ming a lesson. Lu Ming was chosen by the ancestral dragon. Naturally, he did not dare to have the intention to kill Lu Ming. However, it was fine to teach him a lesson. "Haha, little brother, you're so heroic. Pay attention." The middle-aged man smiled and suddenly took a step forward. His body rushed towards Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. He then clawed at Lu Ming. He had used 80% of his power in this claw attack. It was almost certain that he could take down a peak emperor. Boom. Lu Ming also threw a punch at the middle-aged man. He actually dared to take it head-on. What a hothead. The middle-aged man said in disdain. A peak great emperor actually dared to fight a heavenly emperor head-on. If this wasn't stupidity, then what was? Bang. The two attacks collided. At this moment, Lu Ming's fist emitted a dazzling purple-gold radiance. The Tao of a ruler. The moment the two of them collided, Lu Ming burst out with the path of domination. The middle-aged man's expression changed instantly. His eyes popped out and he looked extremely shocked. At this moment, he sensed an incomparably terrifying power surging toward him. At this critical moment, he unleashed all his strength, but it was too late. With a violent boom, the middle-aged man's body was like a broken sack, flying out for thousands of miles before he could stabilize his body. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and one of his arms was bent beyond recognition. What? On the side, Aolwan and the two old men were all stunned. One move. Lu Ming had only used one move to send the middle-aged man flying and spitting blood. The middle-aged man was a heavenly emperor. The few of them couldn't wrap their heads around it. Lu Ming was not surprised at all. When he used his ruler's power, it was enough to suppress or even kill a one-star celestial emperor. Just now the middle-aged man had been careless and naturally was not Lu Ming's match. Roar! The middle-aged man bellowed and transformed into a true dragon. A vast dragon's might spread out and pounced at Lu Ming. He did not believe that he would not be able to take down Lu Ming even if he used all his strength. Lu Ming's cultivation base was clearly only at the Great Emperor realm. The huge dragon's body pounced on Lu Ming's head in an instant. "You're really looking for a beating?" Lu Ming said coldly. His entire body was shrouded in purple gold light, like a god who ruled the world. Buzz. He turned into a purple gold light and charged at his opponent. At the same time, the purple gold light condensed into a long spear. This was a spear condensed from the Tao of domination. It was firm, immortal, and indestructible. Boom. Lu Ming pulled his gun. This spear not only contained the power of the way of domination, but also the power of the physical body. The middle-aged man bellowed. The dragon horns on his head glowed with a brilliant light. Two beams of divine light shot out and slashed at Lu Ming like heavenly blades. At the same time, he He struck out with his dragon claws continuously, which converged into a golden dragon claw and clawed at Lu Ming. Several attacks were launched at the same time. The middle-aged man had used all his strength. However, when his attack collided with Lu Ming's long spear, his expression changed. His attacks continued to crumble, while Lu Ming's long spear crushed his attacks as easily as breaking dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, lashing out at him. The middle-aged man's dragon body shrank rapidly as he retreated frantically. However, he could not avoid Lu Ming's attack, and was struck by Lu Ming's long spear at the waist. The middle-aged man let out a blood-curdling screech as his body was sent flying tens of thousands of miles away. He crashed into a barren mountain, causing smoke and dust to fill the air. Hiss hiss hiss. Ao Luan and the two old men took in a cold breath. This time, the middle-aged man could be said to have used all his strength. However, he was still sent flying by Lu Ming's spear. He was completely crushed. Where did this young man come from? His strength was too shocking. They only reacted after a long time. It's just sparring, you're too heavy-handed. One of the old men said coldly. He didn't die. Lu Ming pursed his lips and did not take it to heart. You. The old man's face was gloomy. All right, I'm done. At this moment, a voice rang out. It was the ancestral dragon's voice. It came from the palace. Then a figure appeared in the sky. This figure wasn't a real entity, but a projection of the ancestral dragon. We pay our respects to the ancestor. Ao Luan and the two old men's expressions changed. They stood up and saluted. Lu Ming is someone I have my eyes on. Do you have any objections to my decision? The ancestral dragon glanced at Ao Luan and the two old men. Their expressions changed drastically, and they hurriedly lowered their heads. I don't dare, I don't dare. Are you doubting my judgment of people? Zulong said. No, Patriarch, absolutely not. Patriarch's eyes are like torches. The two old men quickly said. Ao Luan also didn't dare to make a sound. If Lu Ming was really a good-for-nothing, he would fight for the dragon essence pool no matter what. However, the strength that Lu Ming had just displayed was too shocking. Needless to say, Lu Ming had killed a celestial Varch in seconds. It was too terrifying. Let me tell you, Lu Ming has been cultivating for less than 200 years. Zulong said. What? Less than 200 years? This time, Ao Luan and the two old men were almost scared to death. They would never doubt that the ancestral dragon would lie to them. Heavens, he had cultivated for less than 200 years, and he was able to crush a heavenly emperor. What kind of monster was this? There was actually such a person in the world? No wonder the ancestral dragon had chosen Lu Ming to enter the dragon essence pool. Ao Luan was submissive now and did not dare to make a single sound. Compared to Lu Ming, he was simply trash. Chapter 2447 Heavenly Emperor's Corporeal Body. Lu Ming? Lu Ming? Could he be the Lu Ming who has been known as the Heaven Realm, and the Primordial Realm's #1 prodigy of the younger generation for more than 100 years? The one who has become an emperor with many laws? One of the old men muttered. Suddenly, his expression changed as if he had thought of something. Not bad. Zulong nodded. It's him. It's actually him. Ao Luan and the two old men were extremely shocked. If you don't have any objections, you may leave. Zulong waved his hand. Yes. The two old men and Ao Luan bowed and saluted. Then they retreated and flew tens of thousands of miles away. They helped the middle-aged man up and left quickly. Lu Ming, come with me. Zulong smiled. Then turned around and flew to the right. Lu Ming touched his nose and smiled bitterly. He reckoned that the ancestral dragon had long known about the situation. But he deliberately did not show himself so that Lu Ming would take action and reveal his strength, lest Ao Luan and the others were dissatisfied. They followed the ancestral dragon and came to a valley. There was a light screen at the entrance of the valley. It was obvious that there was a formation sealing the place. The ancestral dragon waved his hand, and the formation opened. Lu Ming walked in. There was a vortex in the valley. Lu Ming, go in. Behind the vortex is the dragon marrow pool. It contains the essence of the dragon marrow that is naturally born in the world. It only opens once every 10,000 years. If you absorb the essence of the dragon marrow, it will be enough to improve your body and reach the Heavenly Emperor realm. Zulong said. It can help my body break through to the Heavenly Emperor realm? Lu Ming was shocked. This was incredible. He was now at the late stage of the 5th level of the 7 Gods mysterious technique. If he wanted to cultivate to the 6th level, he would need to use top-notch treasures and slowly cultivate on his own. Even if Lu Ming was extremely talented, it would be difficult for him to break through without thousands of years of cultivation. Now he could make a breakthrough with the help of the Dragon Essence Pool. It was evident that the value of the Dragon Essence Pool was high. It was no wonder that Aol1 wanted to find trouble with Lu Ming. Many thanks, Senior. Lu Ming saluted the ancestral dragon solemnly. You don't have to thank me. The situation is urgent now. Saint Ancestor Bloodheart is not dead. Although only a wisp of his bloodline is left, Moke will definitely find a way to help him recover. Also, that place is about to open. You are the only variable now. You must improve your strength as soon as possible. Zulong said, his eyes filled with worry. That place is about to open? The only variable? Lu Ming was puzzled. What was the meaning of this? Also, what was the sky opening that the divine ancestor of the outsiders had mentioned? Lu Ming realized that as his cultivation level increased, he knew more and more. However, there were also more and more things that he did not know. There seemed to be many secrets in this world that he did not understand. However, the ancestral dragon didn't want to say more. You may enter. Yes. Lu Ming nodded and stepped forward, entering the vortex. The next moment, Lu Ming appeared in a wonderful place. It was an underground cave that was very wide. The moment Lu Ming entered, he heard the sound of a dragon's roar. Lu Ming sized up the underground cave and discovered an extremely wonderful scene. The walls of this cave were covered with dragon-shaped marks, which didn't look like they were carved by humans. They looked more like natural and vivid marks. In addition, there were some spiritual herbs and saint herbs growing around the cave. They were all in the shape of dragons, like small real dragons, crawling all over the place. In the middle of the cave, there was a small pool with golden liquid inside. The dragon roars were coming from the pool. Lu Ming took a look and discovered that there were 9 golden true dragons swimming in the pool. No, that was not a real dragon, but a condensed form of energy. The essence that it emitted was extremely dense. Amazing, it's really amazing. The dragon essence pool was formed naturally by heaven and earth. Nature is really amazing. Lu Ming sighed. Then he took off his clothes and entered the dragon essence pool. He sat cross-legged, and the water in the pool just happened to be above his head. As soon as Lu Ming entered the dragon essence pool, the water transformed into tiny true dragons that wriggled into his body. Immediately, Lu Ming began to use the 7 divine mysterious technique to absorb the energy in the dragon essence pool and temper his body. The energy in the dragon essence pool was absorbed by Lu Ming and seeped into every part of his body. In every cell, Lu Ming's physical body was improving rapidly. It was at least a few hundred times faster than his usual cultivation speed. Lu Ming cultivated with all his heart, forgetting everything and time. He cast everything aside and cultivated with all his heart. Time flew by. Days passed and months passed. The water level of the dragon essence pool was also dropping slowly. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. Roar! Suddenly, a dragon's roar came from Lu Ming's body. Then the sound of his bones vibrating could be heard. The vibration sound grew stronger, and the aura on Lu Ming's body grew stronger. Boom! In the end, it formed a huge explosion. A terrifying aura filled the cave. Heavenly Emperor! This was the pressure of a Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming had finally broken through to the 6th level of the 7 Gods mysterious technique. Lu Ming's physical strength had completely reached the Heavenly Emperor realm. Now Lu Ming could suppress an ordinary 1-star Heavenly Emperor with his physical strength alone. In addition to the power of the Way of Domination, Lu Ming's strength had increased by another level. Lu Ming continued cultivating for 2 months to consolidate his cultivation before ending it. Lu Ming heaved a long sigh. His lungs moved and a dragon's roar came from his throat. The dragon and I are really fated. Lu Ming smiled and got up to feel the situation in his body. His entire body was filled with destructive power, and his blood qi was as turbulent as a great river. Heavenly Emperor realm. After cultivating for more than 100 years, Lu Ming had finally broken through to the Heavenly Emperor realm. However, he was the first to do so in the path of physical cultivation. I don't know how much time has passed, Lu Ming muttered and left the place. When he walked out of the vortex, there was a flash in the sky. The projection of the ancestral dragon appeared. It seems like I've broken through. Zulong smiled. Many thanks, Senior. Senior, how long have I been cultivating? Lu Ming cupped his fists and asked. 3 years, Zulong said. It's been 3 years. Lu Ming muttered. Do you really want to leave? Go. If there's anything, I'll come to you. Zulong said. Yes. Lu Ming nodded. He was indeed eager to return home. He wanted to go back and see how the situation was. Lu Ming left the place with the ancestral dragon. He went to Xianfeng and Xianxiang and bade them farewell. He went to an ancient city nearby and left the lair of Zulong by taking the teleportation formation. After leaving the lair of Zulong, Lu Ming appeared in the north of the Taiqing heavenly region. He then took another teleportation array and headed to Two World City. Lu Ming returned to Two World City 2 days later. Chapter 2448 Attacking the Foreign Races Degree The first tiling Lu Ming did when he returned to Two World City was to look for the Eternal Universe realm. Lu Ming. The Hengyu Heavenly Emperor was overjoyed to see Lu Ming. More than 100 years ago, when Lu Ming had been captured by the alien races, many people had thought that Lu Ming was in grave danger. He had never expected that Lu Ming would suddenly appear in Two World City after more than 100 years. Lu Ming, how did you come back? Heavenly Emperor Heng Ye's voice was trembling with excitement. Lu Ming was very touched. He briefly recounted what had happened all these years. Saint Ancestor Bloodheart, Saint Ancestor of the non-human race, Ancestral Dragon. The Eternal Universe Heavenly Emperor was extremely shocked, and he seemed to be digesting this information. In the Heaven Realm, there were many Heavenly Emperors who didn't know about the existence of the Ancestral Dragon. The Eternal Universe Heavenly Emperor was one of them. Now that he knew so many secrets, he naturally needed to digest them. The Eternal Universe Heavenly Emperor was shocked. He did not expect Lu Mmg to experience so much in the Evil God realm. Lu Ming, you've broken through to the Heavenly Emperor realm? The Heavenly Emperor's eyes widened as he sized Lu Ming up. He could sense that Lu Ming's blood and qi were surging in an astonishing manner. My physical body has made a breakthrough. I'm lucky to have the help of Senior Ancestral Dragon. Otherwise, I would need at least another 1,000 years. Lu Ming said. Good. The Eternal Universe Heavenly Emperor said a few good words. Senior, what's the current situation? Lu Ming asked. 3 years ago, a large number of strong cultivators suddenly appeared in the Heaven Realm. They came to Two World City and another battlefield to participate in the battle. They claimed to be from the prison suppression field. It seems that they were from the prison suppression field that came with you from the Evil God field. With the help of the musters from the prison realm, the combat power of the Heaven Realm has increased greatly. In the past few years, for some reason, the alien races have been hiding and not taking the initiative to fight. They have become defensive. All these years, we have been sending people out of the city and tailing their way to the camp of the alien races on the other side of the battlefield. There is still an army attacking there. Heavenly Emperor Hengyu explained. The alien race has actually turned into a defense? Lu Ming was slightly stunned. Even with the help of the prison suppression field, the Heaven Realm's overall strength was still not as good as the alien races. The non-humankind wouldn't hide like turtles to defend. Could it be that the outsiders want to preserve their strength and launch a full-scale attack after Saint Ancestor Bloodheart recovers? Lu Ming's heart could not help but skip a beat. He thought of this possibility and his gaze turned solemn. This possibility was the highest. Lu Ming, some of your friends are also following the army to attack the alien race. They want to capture an important figure of the enemy and ask about you. Heavenly Emperor Hengyu said. My friend. Lu Ming's heart slapped a beat. It was very likely that it was Dandan, Bubbles and the rest. Senior, go take a look. Lu Ming said. Yes, be careful. Follow me. Heavenly Emperor Hengyu said as he flew towards the city walls. That is, Lu Ming? Nest, who did I see? Lu Ming? Wasn't Lu Ming captured by the alien race? Why is he here? Could it be that everything is just a rumor? Along the way, those who saw Lu Ming were stunned and tongue-tied. More than 100 years ago, Lu Ming was captured by the alien race, and it caused a great commotion in the Taiqing heavenly region. Lu Ming's talent was too high and many people had high hopes for him. He did not expect that he would be captured by the alien race. It was a huge loss. Many people thought that Lu Ming had been captured by the alien race for more than 100 years, and that he was most likely dead. They did not expect him to appear in Two World City. When they reached the city wall, the Hengyu Heavenly Emperor ordered BLS men to open the formation, and Lu Ming flew out. After flying out of Two World City, Lu Ming exploded and flew towards the other side of the battlefield at an astonishing speed. The void exploded continuously. What a fast speed! Those who saw Lu Ming's speed were shocked. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming disappeared from everyone's sight. Given Lu Ming's current speed, he was too fast. Not long after, a military camp with no end in sight appeared in front of him. At this time, a great battle was going on. On the side of the Heaven Realm, they took the initiative to attack the camp of the non-humans, and the battle between the two sides was very fierce. At this time, a camp of the non-humans was attacked by a Heavenly Realm army. The commander of this Heavenly Realm army was none other than Dandan. Back then, Dandan's cultivation base had already reached the peak Great Emperor realm. After more than 100 years of cultivation, Dandan had also successfully broken through and reached the Heavenly Emperor realm. Following behind Dandan were Bubbles, Phoenix Spirit, Long Chun, Ouyang Wushuang, and the others. After more than 100 years, everyone's cultivation had improved greatly. Most of them had entered the true Emperor realm. In addition, there were also some other experts from the Heaven realm. Kill! Dandan roared and turned into a giant turtle, fighting a Heavenly Emperor of the foreign race. The battle between the two was extremely intense, but it was obvious that Dandan was stronger. The other party was not her match at all, and was suppressed by Dandan. There's a prince of the alien race in this military camp. I must capture him, and ask him about Lu Ming's whereabouts. I can even exchange him for Lu Ming. Dandan sent a message to everyone. Back then, when Lu Ming was captured, the other party had shouted that they could not harm Lu Ming's life. Therefore, they still had hope that he was not dead. Bubbles and the others launched a fierce attack. Bubbles' cultivation base had also reached the Great Emperor realm, and she had even reached the 3-star Great Emperor realm. Right now, Bubbles had mastered a great Tao, and her use of space-time had reached a high degree of perfection. Her body flickered, and a large number of foreign beings were imprisoned. Some of the weaker ones were directly reversed in time, regressing to an even weaker stage and were easily killed. Even great emperors would find it difficult to survive as long as their cultivation bases were not too far above Bubbles. In the depths of the camp, a purple-haired alien was watching coldly. This person was an acquaintance of Lu Ming's, the prince of the alien race, Mo Tianluo. Lu Ming's friend? Let's see how you guys die. Mo Tianluo sneered, and then sent a message to the Heavenly Emperor, who was fighting with Dandan. The Heavenly Emperor suddenly exchanged a few blows with Dandan and retreated. Retreat! Protect the prince! The foreign celestial Varch roared as he retreated. If you want to leave, then stay. Dandan gave chase, but the other party was also very fast. He retreated to Mo Tianluo's side and retreated with Mo Tianluo. Dandan and the others chased after them, and killed a large number of alien races along the way. Stop! Suddenly, Dandan called for a stop. Why didn't you continue? Someone was puzzled. It's better to be careful. The other party seems to be deliberately luring us here. If there's a trap, we'll be in trouble. Let's retreat first. After all, Dandan had lived for a long time and was very meticulous. The others nodded. They didn't chase after him, but retreated. In front of him, Mo Tianluo also stopped, his eyes cold. You're not chasing? Quite meticulous, but did he think that this would work? Kill them all. Mo Tianluo roared. Buzz. Whoosh. Following Mo Tianluo's roar, the ground suddenly exploded, and many figures flew out. They were all from the foreign races. 2 of them had shockingly strong auras, and were actually powerhouses of the Heavenly Emperor realm. The alien race had indeed set up an ambush here. Chapter 2449. It was Lu Ming. Let's go. Dandan's expression changed and she roared. Everyone flew backward at high speed. You want to leave? Don't even think about it. None of you can leave today. Mo Tianluo's expression was extremely ferocious. When he found out that these people were Lu Ming's friends, he had already planned to kill all of them in one fell swoop. In the evil god world, Lu Ming had caused him to lose face. He hated Lu Ming to the core. Chase after them and kill them. Kill them all. Leave no one alive. Mo Tianluo roared. Kill. The foreign kinds chased after Dandan, and the others at an amazing speed. Especially the three Heavenly Emperor powerhouses, who were quickly closing the distance between them and Dandan. Although Dandan was at the Heavenly Emperor stage, the others were not at the Heavenly Emperor stage. Naturally, their speed could not be compared to the foreign Heavenly Emperor. Space-time. Turning back into her true form, Peopeo's body enlarged, emitting layers of strange light that enveloped everyone, causing their speed to increase explosively. At the same time, Dandan appeared behind the army and waved her hands. Countless runes filled the air and entered the space. Huge turtle shells appeared in the air and blocked in front of the alien race. Break. The three foreign celestial emperors caught up first and unleashed terrifying attacks. Although Dandan was strong, her cultivation base was still at the one-star Heavenly Emperor realm. On the other hand, there were three of them, and one of them had reached the two-star Heavenly Emperor realm. Those who could cultivate to the Heavenly Emperor realm were all peerless geniuses. It was extremely difficult for them to fight above their level. With Dandan's talent, she could only suppress opponents of the same level at most. It was still impossible for her to fight above her level. He was fighting 1 against 3, so naturally, he was no match for them. The turtle shell he had condensed was constantly shattered. Dandan retreated as she fought, continuously forming her turtle shell to buy time for Bubble and the others. Everyone streaked across the sky like streaks of light. Soon they had flown tens of thousands of miles away. They came to another military camp, where the Heavenly Realm army was also attacking the alien races. Bubbles and the others were overjoyed. Everyone, quickly come and help. Ouyang Wushuang roared. There were also Heavenly Emperor realm powerhouses in this Heaven Realm army. When they saw this scene, they were about to come over and help. However, experts suddenly flew out of the camp one after another. You want to save them? In your dreams. Hold them back. Those foreign powerhouses were desperately holding back the Heavenly Realm army. The two sides were locked in a fierce battle, and it was difficult for them to split up to help. Aha! Stop dreaming if you want others to save you. The strength of my evil god tribe is much stronger than yours. Do you understand? Well, be on the defensive for this period of time. Don't think that we're afraid of you. Mo Tianluo laughed. At this moment, the three foreign Heavenly Emperors had broken through Dandan's attacks and were approaching her. Don't think that I'm afraid of you. Kill. Dandan was furious. She opened her mouth and spat out a small pagoda. This small pagoda emitted a vast pressure. Heaven Dao soldiers. Back then on the Void God Island, Dandan had been given 4 Heaven Dao soldiers. However, with her current cultivation, she could only control 1 Heaven Dao soldier at most. It's the Heaven Dao soldiers. Spread out. The 3 foreign Heavenly Emperors' expressions changed, and they scattered. Boom. The Heaven Dao soldier trembled and charged forward. The 2-star Celestial Varch rushed over and waved his battle axe, clashing heavily with the Heaven Dao soldier. The 2-star Celestial Varch of the non-human race was knocked back by a violent tremor, and the small pagoda was also knocked back. Once he was a 1-star Heavenly Emperor, he could control the Heaven Dao soldiers and fight against 2-star Heavenly Emperors. Buzz. Buzz. At this moment, the other 2 foreign celestial thearchs pounced toward Bubbles and the others. Dandan's expression changed drastically. Bubble and the others did not have a Heavenly Emperor, and were no match for a Heavenly Emperor. If the Heavenly Emperor managed to charge past them, the consequences would be unimaginable. Dandan gritted her teeth and controlled the Heaven Dao soldier to attack the 2 celestial emperors. I'm your opponent. That 2-star Heavenly Emperor sneered and rushed over again. waving his battle axe and killing towards Dandan. Dandan had no choice but to control the heavenly Dao soldiers and attack the other party. With Dandan's cultivation base, even if he controlled the Heaven Dao soldier, he could only resist one 2-star Celestial Emperor at most. He really couldn't stop the other two 1-star Celestial Emperors. Not good, you guys, run, split up and run. Dandan roared. Now it was better if one could escape. If you want to leave, don't even think about leaving. A non-human Heavenly Emperor sneered. He was extremely fast and caught up to Bubbles and the others in the blink of an eye, sending a palm strike out. Block it! An elder roared from within the army. He had the cultivation of a peak emperor, and he unleashed his full power as he charged toward the non-human Celestial Emperor. In addition, more than a dozen experts also attacked the Heavenly Emperor. They were all high-level great emperors, the elites of the army. Boom! The attacks from both sides collided. However, the Heavenly Emperor was still a Heavenly Emperor. Even a dozen high-tier great sovereigns working together were no match for him. On the Heaven Realm's side, a dozen high-level great emperors were thrown back as they spat out blood. Especially those with weaker cultivation, their bodies exploded, and they died on the spot. At this moment, the other foreign Heavenly Emperor had already approached Bubbles, Fengling, Longchun, Ouyang Wushuang, and the others. Let's go all out. Let's fight it out with him. Ouyang Wushuang, Longchun, and the others used all their strength with red eyes. Even if they were to die, they would die in battle. Whoosh! At this moment, a purple gold light flew over from the distance. Fast, it was too fast. In the blink of an eye, a purple gold light flew over. It was a purple gold spear. It was extremely sharp and stabbed at the foreign Heavenly Emperor with terrifying power. The non-human Celestial Thearch's expression changed as he sensed danger. He roared and attacked with all his might, clashing with the purple gold spear. Boom! With an earth-shattering explosion, the purple gold spear burst open. The foreign Celestial Thearch's body trembled violently, and he retreated rapidly. He retreated hundreds of miles with one hand, and his other hand trembled continuously, bleeding. We're saved! Bubbles, Ouyang Wushuang, Longchun, and Phoenix Spirit were overjoyed. It seemed that a senior from the Heaven Realm had arrived. Who is it? The foreign Celestial Thearch roared. The person who will kill you. A cold voice was heard. Then a purple gold light flashed and a figure appeared in the void. Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. When they saw the figure, Huang Ling, Ouyang Wushuang, and the others were stunned at first. They showed an expression of disbelief, and then they were overjoyed. It was Lu Ming. They were here and they actually saw Lu Ming. Wasn't Lu Ming captured and sent to the evil god realm? Why would he appear here? They still wanted to capture an important person from the other party and inquire about Lu Ming's information. All of this was too unexpected. In that case, Lu Ming had saved them just now. When they thought of this, they were even more shocked. The spear light just now had forced a Heavenly Emperor back and injured him. Brother Lu Ming. Bubbles cried out in surprise. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, I knew you would be fine. Ha ha. Dandan laughed even more wildly. Chapter 2450. Killing a Heavenly Emperor in succession. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the crowd. He secretly heaved a sigh of relief when he realized that everyone was fine. Lu Ming, it's you. Not far away, Mo Tianluo's eyes were cold and filled with ferocious killing intent as he stared at Lu Ming. Mo Tianluo naturally knew that the entire prison suppression field had disappeared after the battle. He also knew that the people from the prison suppression field had come to the Heaven Realm. Mo Tianluo, what a coincidence. I'll send you on your way today, Lu Ming said coldly. Ha ha ha, what big words. Kill him. Mo Tianluo shouted and ordered his men to kill Lu Ming. Although Lu Ming's combat strength was strong, and could even suppress the first prince, there were a few Celestial Thearchs here. He wanted Lu Ming to die here today. Kill! Kill! The two 1-star Heavenly Emperors shouted and rushed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming, be careful! Huang Ling and the others couldn't help but exclaim. However, Lu Ming's eyes were calm and the corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. Purple gold light emanated from his body and condensed into a purple gold spear. Buzz! His muscles trembled. and his body rushed toward one of the one-star heavenly emperors at an extremely fast speed. Now that Lu Ming's physical body had broken through to the heavenly emperor realm, his muscles could vibrate 10 billion times in an instant. Wherever he passed, the void seemed to turn into a black hole, and everything was shattered. Boom! The long spear swept out and swept toward that one-star heavenly emperor. This is Lu Ming's spear swept out. The foreign celestial Tharch felt extremely terrifying, as if he was about to be crushed by this spear. He screamed hysterically and tried to block it with all his might, but it was in vain. Bang! The non-human celestial Thearch's body was like a sandbag that had been smashed into bits and pieces, flying everywhere. Everyone's eyes widened. Not only Dandan, Bubble, Huang Ling, and the rest, but a heavenly army that was fighting the alien races in the distance was also shocked. That was a celestial Tharch, but he was killed by Lu Ming in seconds and exploded in the air. The impact was too strong. Emotion Luo was even more dumbfounded. A few years ago, in the evil god realm, Lu Ming had challenged the longevity role. Although he was strong back then, he was only slightly stronger than the first prince. Although he was invincible among the great emperors, there was still a gap between him and the celestial Tharch. However, it had only been a short while and Lu Ming could blow up a celestial Tharch with one shot. This kind of combat strength was too terrifying. It had improved too quickly and it made him feel frightened. At this moment, the other non-human heavenly emperor was almost scared to death. He quickly retreated. It's too late to leave now. Let's go, Lu Ming said coldly. His muscles trembled and he dashed forward. In a few breaths he caught up with the alien. Save me! The foreign celestial Tharch roared and charged toward the two-star celestial Tharch. He wanted that two-star heavenly emperor to save him, but he was controlling the Heaven Dao soldiers with all his might, constantly bombarding the other party, making it difficult for the other party to have the opportunity to help. Lu Ming had already arrived. His long spear swept out and enveloped a radius of 10,000 miles. The foreign celestial Tharch couldn't dodge, and he let out a desperate roar as he fought back. However, he was only a one-star heavenly emperor. How could he block Lu Ming's attack? The long spear swept past, and he followed in the footsteps of the foreign tribe member, and was blown up in the air. Lu Ming flashed past and kept the other party's storage bracelet. Run, run, run! While Lu Ming was charging toward the alien, Emotion Luo had already fled frantically. The rest of the army followed him and fled. Stop him! Stop him for this prince! Do you hear me? Emotion Luo ordered his subordinates. However, no one listened to him. What a joke! If they stopped to stop Lu Ming, they would die. Who would be so foolish? At this moment, Lu Ming was chasing after Emotion Luo. Emotion Luo was so scared that he almost cried. He roared madly, "Stop him! Stop him! If you dare to disobey my orders, I'll kill your entire family. I'll exterminate your entire clan." However, the other alien races ran even faster than him. It seems like no one is helping you. A cold voice came from behind Emotion Luo. Emotion Luo was so shocked that he jumped up. "Lu Ming, please spare me!" Emotion Luo shrieked. He was already scared out of his wits and didn't dare to resist at all. "You've tried to kill me and my friends time and time again. Is it possible for me to spare you?" Lu Ming sneered. He shook his long spear and a terrifying force crushed Emotion Luo. Emotion Luo screamed in pain and his body turned into dust. He died. Boom. At this moment, the two-star heavenly emperor was going all out. After exchanging a blow with Dandan, he seized the opportunity to escape. "Don't even think about leaving." Dandan roared and controlled the Heaven Dao soldier to chase after the other party with all its might. Powerful rays of light burst out from the Heaven Dao soldier and blasted towards the other party. As for Lu Ming, he also unleashed his speed to the maximum and chased after the other party. Kill all the outsiders. At this moment, Bubbles, Ouyang Wushuang, and the rest led their army and chased after the foreign races that were running away. Lu Ming's speed was extremely fast. In addition, the two-star heavenly emperor was being closely followed by Dandan, so it was difficult for him to fully display his speed. Soon, Lu Ming caught up with him. Whoosh! Lu Ming threw the long spear condensed by the way of domination at the two star celestial Varch of the foreign tribe at an extremely fast speed. The third eye of the two-star celestial Varch shot out a beam of destructive light that collided with Lu Ming's long spear. Although he managed to block it, he could not help but pause for a moment. In this way, Dandan took the opportunity to catch up and control the Heaven Dao soldier. The small tower turned into a giant tower, emitting a vast pressure of the Heaven Dao, and suppressed the other party. The Great Desolation Spear appeared in Lu Ming's hands. Now that Lu Ming's physical body had reached the Heavenly Emperor realm, he could fully activate the power of the Heaven Dao soldier. The muscles on Lu Ming's palm trembled, and the Great Desolation Spear trembled violently as well. The pressure of the Heavenly Dao spread out. Whoosh! Lu Ming arrived and thrust the Great Desolation Spear. The two-star celestial Varch of the alien race blocked Dandan's attack. He wielded his giant axe and hacked at Lu Ming. Clang! With a deafening boom, the two-star celestial Thearch's body trembled violently, and he was forced to retreat as he spat out a mouthful of blood. One move and he was injured. Moreover, the battle axe in his hand began to crack. A two-star Heavenly Emperor was indeed much stronger than a one-star Heavenly Emperor. However, he did not have a Heaven Dao soldier. On the other hand, the current Lu Ming could fight a two-star Heavenly Emperor with just his physical body and the Great Desolation Spear. With the addition of the ruler's Dao, Lu Ming's combat strength was completely above that of a two-star Heavenly Emperor. Kill! Lu Ming let out a long howl and charged forward again. At the same time, Dandan also controlled the Heaven Dao soldier and charged over. Being besieged by Lu Ming and Dandan, the other party was even more outmatched. Even if they tried their best, it would be useless. After barely blocking a few moves, Lu Ming's spear struck his body, almost splitting him in two. Then he controlled the Heaven Dao soldier to suppress and kill this person completely. Chapter 2451 Grandfather The two-star celestial Varch of the non-human race had been killed, and the three other non-human celestial Thearchs had fallen. Bubbles and the others led the army to chase after the alien races, and killed a large number of them. The remaining alien races managed to escape. Lu Ming, you're amazing. I didn't expect you to surpass me again. Dandan looked at Lu Ming with a depressed look. Hee, isn't it normal to be surpassed by me? Who am I? I'm an invincible heaven's favorite. In front of Dandan, Lu Ming's skin was thicker than his. Sure enough, Dandan was even more displeased and revealed a look of shock. Let's go, we'll continue to kill the enemy. Lu Ming arrived and looked at the alien camp in the distance. There, a great army of the heavenly realm was fighting with the army of the foreign races. Kill! She gritted her teeth and wanted to vent her frustration at Lu Ming on the alien race. Seeing Lu Ming and his companion coming over, the alien races were shocked and quickly retreated into the military camp, activating the formation to resist. The two of them arrived outside the military camp. Greetings to the two heavenly emperors. In the heavenly realm army, many people were very respectful. In fact, there were some people who were more familiar with Lu Ming in this heaven realm army. For example, 2 of the 9 absolutes of the heaven realm were among them. However, at this moment, they were looking at Lu Ming with eyes full of respect. It was obvious that Lu Ming had already become a heavenly emperor. From then on, he was high and mighty. If they wanted to become heavenly emperors, they didn't know how many years it would take and how many things they had to go through. Their former opponent had now become a heavenly emperor. He had far surpassed them, and they felt very complicated. Everyone, there's no need to be so polite. Lu Ming waved his hands casually. With that, Lu Ming's gaze swept across the non-human camp. He realized that apart from activating the formation, most of the people had actually retreated to the back. Brother Lu Ming. At this moment, Bubbles and the rest flew over. Bubbles dashed into Lu Ming's arms. Bubble, you've grown up. Lu Ming touched Bubbles' small head. After not seeing each other for more than 100 years, Bubbles had finally grown up a little. She looked like a 7 or 8-year-old girl, and was even cuter. Of course. Pow Pow pouted, her face red. Let's leave this place and return to Two World City, Lu Ming said. He believed that the news of what had happened here would soon spread to the other foreign races, and at that time, even stronger foreign races would definitely come. With Lu Ming's current strength and the Great Desolation Spear, he was confident that he could protect himself even if he encountered a 3-star heavenly emperor. However, it would be difficult to protect the others. If a peerless expert at the level of a 4-star heavenly emperor came, he would not even be able to protect himself. Alright, let's go back. Dandan also nodded. The other army was also planning to return to Two World City. Everyone flew towards Two World City together. There were no accidents along the way, and they returned to Two World City safely not long after. They had not seen each other for many years and naturally, there were many topics to talk about. Dandan, Bubbles, and Huang Ling were very curious about Lu Ming's experiences over the years. They pulled Lu Ming to drink with them and chatted. Lu Ming briefly recounted his experience over the years, shocking everyone. During this period of time, Lu Ming learned that Long Chen had returned to the Divine Wilderness and married Xian Yanlin. Lu Ming was happy for him. As time passed, he had let go of the grudges between him and the Xie family. It wasn't until the next day that the crowd dispersed. Lu Ming went to a courtyard and stayed there. He planned to return to the primordial realm in 2 days to visit his parents. However, just a day later, Dandan, Bubbles, Long Chen and the rest arrived at Lu Ming's residence. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, look who we have brought. Dandan laughed. Who is it? Lu Ming smiled and swept his gaze across the room. Then he saw a young man in the crowd. He looked like he was in his 20s. He had an imposing appearance and was extraordinarily handsome. He looked 70 to 80% similar to Lu Ming. Divine Wilderness. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Although more than 100 years had passed, Lu Ming could immediately tell from the aura that this young man was Lu Shenhuang. Father! Lu Shenhuang shouted out, his eyes filled with surprise. Then, Shenhuang Lu walked over while holding a young lad's hand. This lady was extremely beautiful, and was no less beautiful than Feng Ling and Qiuyu. She was carrying a little girl who was about 2 to 3 years old. She had 2 pigtails and was extremely cute. Father! The young lady blinked her big eyes and looked at Lu Ming curiously. She called out softly, "Cheer, call Grandpa." Lu Shenhuang looked at the little girl. "Grandpa, Grandpa." The little girl called out in her childish voice. What? Lu Ming was tongue-tied and stunned. It was obvious that the young lady was Lu Shenhuang's wife and the little girl was his daughter. He went around the evil god world, and didn't expect that Lu Shenhuang was already married and had a daughter. Ha ha, Lu Ming, are you stupid? Dandan laughed. Get lost. Lu Ming berated Dandan. Then he looked at Lu Shenhuang and the rest with a big smile on his face. Good, good, good. Lu Ming said good a few times, his heart filled with warmth. These were all his family. Divine Wilderness, what are their names? Lu Ming asked. Father, her name is Mu Wanxian, this little guy is Lu Qi. Lu Shenhuang introduced. Alright, alright. Lu Qi, come, let Grandpa hug you. Lu Ming extended his hand to Lu Qi. The little girl was not shy with strangers at all. She climbed onto Lu Ming and rolled around in his arms. Lu Ming carefully used the world energy to support Lu Qi, as if he was afraid that she would fall. In 2 years she can start cultivating. Lu Ming smiled and instructed Lu Shenhuang. Yes, I've been using spirit herbs to build her foundation. I'll let her cultivate in 2 years. Lu Shenhuang nodded. Have you met your grandparents? Lu Ming asked again. Lu Shenhuang was stunned for a moment before he shook his head. No, I didn't. Come with me to see them tomorrow. Lu Ming said. All right. Lu Ming and Shenhuang nodded. Everyone talked and laughed, and after a while, Dandan and the others left tactfully. Only Lu Ming, Lu Shenhuang, Mu Wanxian and Lu Qi were left in the courtyard. The little girl had been snuggling in Lu Ming's arms, and was reluctant to come out. Little fellow, Lu Ming smiled. Then his body was filled with purple gold light, which enveloped Lu Qi. This was the power of a ruler. The power of domination dominated the world, and was supreme. Lu Ming wanted to use the power of domination to build a foundation for Lu Qi, and improve his body. The ruler's power was so mysterious that it could adjust Lu Kai's body to the best state. Lu Shenhuang and Mu Wanxian naturally knew what Lu Ming wanted to do. They stood quietly at the side and did not say a word. Lu Ming only finished after a full day. Lu Kai's body had undergone earth-shaking changes. It had become pure and stainless. When he started cultivating in the future, his cultivation speed would be extremely shocking. Chapter 2452, I won't let you down in this life, one divine wilderness. How is your mother? Lu Ming hesitated for a moment and asked. This was what Lu Ming was most concerned about. Mother is still the same as before. Lu Shenhuang said. Yes, when we return from the primordial realm. Well, go find your mother, Lu Ming said. It was time to settle Xie Nianking's matter. Otherwise, Lu Ming would not be at ease. Let's go. Lu Ming stood up, and Lu Shenhuang and the rest followed him. They headed back to the primordial realm. Lu Ming had returned to the primordial realm a few times, and was familiar with the way. Not long after, Lu Ming and the rest returned to the primordial mountain of the primordial realm through the void passageway. The primordial realm was still peaceful. Back then, the alien race had used the bone daggers of the previous generation of space-time spiritual rats to open a passage to the primordial realm. Fortunately, Lu Ming and the rest had discovered it. In that battle, Lu Ming was captured, but the Titan Longhorn Beetle and the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm arrived and saved Dandan, Bubbles, 2E and Lei. Then he would send this news to the Heaven Realm. The Heaven Realm had sent a large number of experts to guard the passage. The alien races seemed to know that they couldn't do it. In these years, they didn't continue to open the passage, nor did they invade from there. Thus, the primordial realm remained peaceful. Lu Ming led the few of them, and flew towards the Heavenly Emperor City. In the past, the people from Dragon God Valley and Dragon Alliance had occupied the territories of the Hung family, and the He family respectively. Later on, the Primal Chaos Palace had sent some puppet masters to guard the two families, making them impregnable. These years, the two families had developed steadily and many masters had emerged. In Dragon God Valley, the strength of the Dragon Alliance was steadily increasing. Lu Yuntian and Li Ping were chatting in a huge courtyard. Although more than 100 years had passed, not only did the two of them not age, they became younger and younger. Lu Ming had left behind a large amount of resources. Although Li Ping's cultivation talent was very poor, with a large amount of resources and the guidance of some great Emperor Realm experts, her cultivation had still reached the martial royal realm. As Force Emperor could live for 20,000 years. Of course, she looked very young. Sigh, Ming'er hasn't been back for more than 100 years. I wonder how he's doing now. Li Ping sighed softly, her eyes filled with longing. Madam, young master is currently in seclusion. I believe that he will come back to see you once he comes out. At the side, Qiuyu said. Back then, they did not tell Li Ping and Lu Yuntian about Lu Ming being captured by the alien race. They had been keeping it a secret from them, only saying that Lu Ming was in seclusion. All these years, Qiuyu had always been by Li Ping and Qiuyu's side. That's right, you're really a woman. You're already a martial emperor, but you're still so ignorant. With Ming Heir's current cultivation, it's normal for him to go into closed-door cultivation for 100 years. Lu Yuntian chided Li Ping. You're the only one who's open-minded. Li Ping rolled her eyes. At this moment, Qiuyu seemed to have sensed something and looked up at the sky. The empty sky suddenly trembled, and a spatial crack appeared. A few figures walked out from it. It was Lu Ming and the rest. Qiuyu was stunned for a moment. Then her delicate body trembled. Tears flowed down uncontrollably as she mumbled. Young master is back. It's young master. Qiuyu knew that Lu Ming had been captured by the alien race. Naturally, she was extremely worried. It would be strange if she was not excited to see Lu Ming. Upon hearing Qiuyu's words, Li Ping and Lu Yuntian also looked up at the sky. The two of them were overjoyed. Let's go down. Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. He then stepped down and landed in the courtyard. Lu Shenhuang and the rest followed. Father, mother. Lu Ming was all smiles. Ming'er, you've finally come out of seclusion. Li Ping was also very excited. As she spoke, she looked at Lu Shenhuang and the others. With one look, she could not help but be stunned. This was because Lu Shenhuang and Lu Ming were too similar. Ming'er they are. Lu Yuntian was also a little stunned. Cough cough. Lu Ming coughed a few times and started to introduce, Father, Mother, this is my son. His name is Lu Shenhuang. That is his wife Muanxian. Also, this little fellow is the daughter of the divine wilderness, my granddaughter Lu Qi. Oh! Li Ping and Lu Yintian were both stunned. However, it was only for a moment, and their faces were filled with smiles. He didn't expect that after not seeing each other for more than 100 years, they would even have a grandson. Not only that, but their grandson had already gotten married and had a daughter. The old couple was naturally excited to have so many descendants. Grandpa, Grandma, Lu Shenhuang and Mu Wanxian both went forward and bowed to Li Ping and Lu Yintian. Great-grandfather, great-grandmother, the little fellow also called out in a baby voice. Good, don't be so polite. The old couple could not stop smiling. Blood was thicker than water in a family, so they naturally got to know each other very quickly. After a while, Li Ping was happily chatting with Mu Wanxian with Lu Qi in her arms. Good, you really have Ming air style, haha. Lu Yintian patted Lu Shenhuang's shoulder and laughed heartily. The family was happy and harmonious. Qiuyu stood at the side, her eyes filled with envy. She wished that she could give birth to children for Lu Ming. Ming the mother of the divine wilderness is? Li Ping asked Lu Ming after a while. It's Nianqing, Lu Ming said. Where is she? Li Ping asked with concern. She has something to do now. Mother, don't worry. I'll bring her to see you soon, Lu Ming said. As everyone chatted. Not long after, Lu Yintian ordered the servants to prepare a banquet. The news of Lu Ming's return spread and the people from the Dragon Alliance and Dragon God Valley cheered. Lu Ming was their backbone. They felt uneasy without him around. There was even a rumor that Lu Ming had passed away. There had always been an uneasy atmosphere in the Dragon Alliance and Dragon God Valley. Now that Lu Ming had appeared, everyone was naturally happy. At night, the moonlight was scattered, and the ground seemed to be covered in a layer of white frost. Outside the Heavenly Emperor City, on a mountain peak, Qiuyu stood there quietly, looking into the distance. Ow. After a long time, Qiuyu sighed. Qiuyu, what are you sighing for? Suddenly, a voice was heard. Qiuyu jumped in shock. She turned around and saw Lu Ming smiling at her. Young master. Qiuyu's face turned red. Lu Ming walked over and held Qiuyu's small hand. Qiuyu, thank you, Lu Ming said. How could he not know what Qiuyu was thinking? Young master, why are you thanking me? Qiuyu said. Thank you for taking care of my parents all these years. Lu Ming said. This is what I should be doing. Before Qiuyu could finish her sentence, Lu Ming's lips had already sealed her warm lips. Qiuyu's body trembled and she slowly closed her eyes. 2 drops of tears flowed down her white cheeks. After a long time, their lips separated. Qiuyu, I, Lu Ming, will not let you down in this life. Lu Ming's determined voice rang in Qiuyu's ears. Chapter 2453 Suppressing Xianyanqing, I will not let you down in this life. This was Lu Ming's promise to Qiuyu. After being in the evil god realm for more than 100 years, Lu Ming had thought through many things. There were some people that could not be disappointed. Just like Qiuyu, she was devoted and devoted. She had given up so much for Lu Ming, and had never asked for anything in return. How could Lu Ming not know that? How could he not be moved? Young master, thank you. Qiuyu leaned into Lu Ming's arms and hugged him tightly, as if she was unwilling to let go for the rest of her life. The moonlight cast a long shadow on the two of them, as if they were one. This time, Lu Ming stayed in the Heavenly Emperor City for 3 months. During these 3 months, Lu Ming did not cultivate much. He spent his time with Lu Shenhuang and the rest, accompanying Li Ping and Lu Yintian. Of course, Lu Ming also took the time to give a lecture. In addition to the people from the Dragon Alliance and Dragon God Valley, people from other forces in the Heavenly Emperor City also gathered to listen to Lu Ming's lecture. As soon as Lu Ming started his speech, the aura shocked everyone. Lu Ming was like a god that ruled the world, explaining the mysteries of the world to the fullest. The Celestial Emperor. Some people speculated that Lu Ming must have reached the Heavenly Emperor realm. A great emperor definitely did not have such an aura. The rumor that Lu Ming was the Heavenly Emperor spread like wildfire, and shocked the entire Heavenly Emperor City. After that, the entire Yuan Mountain was shocked. Furthermore, this piece of news spread to other places at a terrifying speed. It caused a huge commotion in the entire primordial realm. Lu Ming had become a heavenly emperor. This news had shocked many people. Lu Ming stayed in the heavenly emperor city for a few months. Then, he brought Lu Shenhuang and the rest back to the heaven realm. After returning to the heaven realm, he rushed to Xian Yanking's residence without stopping. It had been more than 100 years, but Xian Yanking's residence had not changed. It was still the same place. From afar, Lu Ming could see Xian Yanqing cultivating on a mountain peak. His entire body was enveloped in a strange black energy. Peak Emperor. Lu Ming was overjoyed when he sensed Xian Yanking's aura. He was afraid that Xian Yanking's cultivation level was too high. If Xian Yanqing had also reached the heavenly emperor realm, it would be more difficult for him to control Xian Yanqing. On the other hand, Xian Yanking's cultivation base was only at the great emperor realm. Lu Ming was confident. "You guys stand here, don't come over." Lu Ming instructed Lu Shenhuang and the rest before he stepped forward and walked towards Xian Yanqing. When Lu Ming was a distance away from Xian Yanqing suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze was filled with a cold light. "Lowly ant, it's you, die!" Xian Yanqing shouted and turned into a black stream of light, pouncing at Lu Ming. Whoosh! As he neared Lu Ming, a long sword appeared in Xian Yanking's hand. He swung his sword, and a dark sword light slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming cast the Way of Domination. His palm was covered with purple gold light as he struck out. Boom! Lu Ming's palm collided with Xian Yanking's sword radiance, creating a loud boom. Xian Yanking's sword light dissipated. Her delicate body trembled and she couldn't help but take 2 steps back. However, Lu Ming's body shook violently and he took a few steps back. What a terrifying power! Lu Ming was extremely shocked. After clashing with Xian Yanqing, she felt that Xian Yanking's power was so powerful that it seemed to tear apart her ruler's power. Although Lu Ming's current cultivation base was only 1-star Great Emperor, he could suppress and even kill a 1-star Celestial Emperor with the Tao of Domination alone. Xian Yanqing had actually managed to repel such a force. Xian Yanking's combat strength was also shocking. With his peak emperor cultivation, he could fight above his level, and even kill a heavenly emperor. "Kill!" Xian Yanqing shouted and charged at Lu Ming again. Lu Ming condensed a long spear in his palm, and swept it towards Xian Yanqing. Lu Ming did not use his physical strength. He fought Xian Yanqing with the power of the Way of Domination. Boom! Boom! The two of them clashed continuously, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of moves. Lu Ming was shocked to discover that he was actually at a disadvantage. He wasn't Xian Yanking's match with just 1 Tao of Domination. He couldn't help but secretly rejoice that Xian Yanqing hadn't broken through to the heavenly emperor realm. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to suppress Xian Yanqing. Buzz! Lu Ming's muscles and bones trembled, and he began to release his physical strength. The combination of physical strength and the Way of Domination greatly increased Lu Ming's combat strength. With a shake of his spear, a terrifying force surged towards Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanking's body retreated rapidly, his face pale. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and pounced on Xian Yanqing. His spear swept towards Xian Yanqing again. Xian Yanqing shouted. The black light around his body was extremely intense. A bright sword light burst out, but it was destroyed after colliding with Lu Ming's long spear. Xian Yanqing retreated again. Lu Ming quickly followed. In the distance, Lu Shenhuang and the others were extremely anxious. Don't worry. Lu Ming will not hurt your mother. He's helping her. A figure suddenly appeared beside Lu Shenhuang and the rest. It was Xian Yanjuan. Xian Yanjuan was dressed in white and his aura was unfathomable. And Lu Shenhuang nodded. Buzz! Lu Ming rushed towards Xian Yanqing. The spear disappeared and turned into a big hand, grabbing at the young man. Xian Yanqing shouted as the black light around him grew even more intense. It then turned into black lotus flowers that surrounded Xian Yanqing. Lu Ming's big hand grabbed the lotus but was blocked by it. The defensive power of this lotus flower was shocking. So strong. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and rushed over, his fists constantly blasting out. Boom! 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 The lotus flowers around Xian Yanking's body kept on rumbling. One by one, The lotus flowers exploded and disappeared into energy. Open it! Lu Ming shouted as the power of domination filled his entire body. He exerted force and broke apart the lotus flowers. Then he reached out and held Xian Yinqing in his arms. Lowly ant, you're courting death. Xian Yinqing fought back with all his might. His strength was so strong that Lu Ming's arm went numb. Lu Ming exerted all his strength and held Xian Yinqing's slender waist tightly. His other hand grabbed both of Xian Yinqing's arms. Then he poured his dominator's power into Xian Yinqing's body and suppressed her strength. The power of domination was indeed very advanced and powerful. It slowly suppressed Xian Yinqing's power. Xian Yinqing's resistance was getting weaker and weaker. Ant, you're courting death. Xian Yinqing continued to shout. Shut up. Wait a minute. Watch how I conquer you. Lu Ming shouted coldly. Anyway, this wasn't Xian Yinqing. It was just his memory from his previous life. You guys wait here. Lu Ming said to Lu Shenhuang and the rest. Then he brought Xian Yinqing and flew into the distance. They came to a hidden place and entered the mountain and river diagram. What do you want to do? Xian Yinqing shouted. Xiao Qing and I already have a child. We're an old couple. What do you think I'm doing? Lu Ming gave a strange smile. Xian Yinqing's face turned pale and he screamed in fear. No, don't. I won't let you off, Sila. Lu Ming could not be bothered to talk nonsense and started to take action. Chapter 2454. Slowly recovering, Lu Ming was very familiar with the process, and he started to take action. Xian Yinqing had no choice but to let the memories of this life take over. The two of them had a moment of intimacy. In the following days, Xian Yinqing would counterattack whenever he had the chance. He wanted to kill Lu Ming, but he would be subdued by Lu Ming every time. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. In this way, Xian Yinqing's memories of this life slowly gained the upper hand. Every day, the time that the memories of this life dominated was getting longer and longer. Sometimes, she would go out with Lu Ming to accompany Lu Shenhuang, and play with little Lu Qi this way. A virtuous cycle was formed. Staying by Lu Ming's side, staying by his child's side, Xian Yinqing's obsession grew stronger and stronger. He was absolutely unwilling to give up and fought against the memories of his previous life. The battle intent from his past life was getting weaker and weaker. In the memories of his previous life, his background was extraordinary. He was high and mighty, a goddess who did not take Lu Ming seriously at all. Even though Lu Ming's cultivation base had reached the heavenly emperor realm, he was still a lowly ant in her eyes. What was a heavenly emperor in her eyes? Even the supreme powerhouses who had surpassed heavenly emperors were like ants in her eyes. However, she couldn't take it anymore. She would rather die and let Xian Yinqing's memories merge with her. Xian Yinqing's memories of his past life had lost their will to fight, so naturally, his current life's memories prevailed. Slowly, Xian Yinqing's memories of his past life became weaker and weaker. Just like that, 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. In these 3 years, Xian Yinqing's memories of his previous life had almost been wiped out and devoured. Most of the time, Xian Yinqing's memories of this life dominated. Even if the memory of his previous life was occasionally dominant, it had changed. He did not kill Lu Ming but was in a daze. On this day, Xian Yinqing accompanied Lu Shenhuang, Lu Qi, and the others. As for Lu Ming, he was sitting cross-legged on a mountain peak. His body was completely covered in purple gold light. After several years of cultivation, Lu Ming's mastery of the path of domination had deepened. I can break through now, Lu Ming muttered. He then took out pieces of chaos gems and began to devour the chaos chi in them to improve his cultivation. Hoo-hoo. A large number of chaos gems were devoured by Lu Ming, refined, and transformed into world power. Lu Ming's small world started to expand rapidly again. However, the amount of resources it consumed was also shocking. When Lu Ming broke through to the Great Emperor realm from the True Emperor realm, he had used up 3,000 chaos stones and a large number of raw gemstones. Now Lu Ming had used up even more resources to break through to 2-star Great Emperor from 1-star Great Emperor. As time passed, the number of resources that Lu Ming refined increased. Half a month later, Lu Ming had consumed a total of 6,000 chaos gems. With 30% of the raw gemstones in his body, his cultivation had finally broken through to 2-star Great Emperor. His small world had doubled in size, reaching a radius of 20 million miles. The purple gold energy in his world power had increased and become more concentrated. The reason why Lu Ming had consumed so many resources was because he had converted them into this purple gold energy. This purple gold energy was not world energy. It was of a higher level than world energy. Lu Ming called it the Dominator's energy. If this continues, I won't have enough resources. At the thought of this, Lu Ming smiled bitterly. At first, the resources he had obtained from the Void Island were enough. Lu Ming thought that they would at least last him for a long time. However, he now realized that they were not enough. He was only a 2-star Great Emperor now. Of the 20,000 Chaos Gems, he had already used up 9,000 of them, and there were still 20,000 Primordial Chaos Gems left. As for the raw gemstones, he had used up 30 to 40% of them. At this rate, these resources could only allow Lu Ming to cultivate to 4-star Great Emperor at most. If he continued, he would run out of resources. Without resources, it would take God knows how long to advance to the next realm by slowly absorbing the natural energy of heaven and earth. Let's take one step at a time. Lu Ming sighed. The increase in his cultivation level had greatly increased Lu Ming's combat strength. The power of domination had become stronger. Lu Ming could suppress, or even kill a 2-star Great Emperor with the power of domination alone. With his physical strength and the Great Desolation Spear, defeating a 3-star Great Emperor would not be a problem. Not far away, Xian Yanqing and the others also looked over. Forget it, Xian Yanqing murmured. There was a sigh in his eyes, and a trace of unwillingness. She still had things to do in another place. Chapter 2455. 3-star Great Emperor. 3-star Great Emperor Xian Yanqing's eyes flashed with a complicated look. A voice entered Xian Yanjin's ears. Xian Yanjuan, I'll leave that matter to you. Don't worry, I'll definitely complete that task. Xian Yanjuan also sent a message to Xian Yanqing. After hearing this, Xian Yanqing smiled slightly, and then her delicate body suddenly trembled. Boom. At this moment, a powerful aura emanated from Xian Yanqing's body. Then she sat cross-legged and a black lotus appeared, enveloping her. Mother! Lu Shenhuang was shocked. Lu Ming's figure flickered and he also came close. Don't worry, your mother has succeeded. The memories of this life have completely taken the initiative. She has devoured the memories of her previous life, and is about to make a breakthrough. Xian Yanjuan smiled. Lu Ming was overjoyed too. It seemed that Xian Yanqing had finally succeeded. Lu Ming glanced at Xian Yanjuan again. In his eyes, Xian Yanjuan was becoming more and more unfathomable. Due to the conflict between the two memories, Xian Yanqing's cultivation was far behind Xian Yanjin's. Even Lu Ming could not tell what Xian Yanjin's cultivation level was. Who exactly were Shaoqing and Xian Yanjuan in their past lives? Lu Ming pondered. He had a feeling that the two of them must have had very shocking backgrounds in their previous lives. However, he was already at the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm. He had even met the ancestral dragon and the non-human divine ancestor, but he still couldn't figure out Xian Yanjuan. He had asked Xian Yanqing this question before. However, Xian Yanqing shook his head and did not say much. He only said that it was not the time yet. He seemed to have some concerns and Lu Ming did not pursue the matter. Xian Yanqing's aura was getting stronger and stronger. He was at the critical point of breaking through to the Heavenly Emperor realm. Everyone waited in the distance. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Xian Yanqing was still in the midst of his breakthrough, when Lu Ming received a message from the Hung Yu Heavenly Emperor. Outside the two-world city, the passageway that led to the primordial realm had reopened. Lu Ming was shocked. That passageway led to the primordial realm. Back then, Lu Ming had come to the heaven realm through that passageway. In the battle back then, the passageway was destroyed by the Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron controlled by Lu Ming. Back then, evil swordsmen said that the passageway would reopen in about 100 years. Now more than 100 years had passed, and that passage had finally reopened. Lu Ming was a little worried that the alien races would send an army to attack that passage and enter the primordial realm. Divine wilderness. Wait for your mother here. I have something important to do. I will return to Two World City first. When your mother has broken through, come find me in Two World City, Lu Ming said. Father, be careful, Lu Shenhuang said. Lu Ming nodded. He took a step forward and the space cracked. Lu Ming entered the crack and disappeared. With Lu Ming's speed, it did not take long for him to rush back to Two World City. After rushing back to Two World City, he learned that the Heaven Realm had already sent some peerless experts into the ancient battlefield to guard the passage. That battlefield was very terrifying, and there were marks left by the peerless experts back then. It was dangerous even for ordinary celestial emperors to enter, and only the peerless experts could enter safely. Now there were many strong people in the Heaven Realm. A group of great beings came from the lair of Zulong. With the great beings from the prison suppression field, there were many great beings. But this time, the alien races didn't do anything. They still focused on defense. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief when he heard the news. Now that the prison suppression field had come to the Heaven Realm, the two sides had joined forces and their strength had increased greatly. The non-human race didn't seem to want to fight them head-on. Instead, they wanted to wait for sacred ancestor Bloodheart to recover. Lu Ming was very clear about the alien race's plan. However, they had no choice. The Heaven Realm could defend, but they couldn't gather all their forces to attack the Evil God Realm and destroy the Evil God Realm before Saint Ancestor Bloodheart recovered. The only thing they could do now was to improve themselves as much as possible. The final battle would definitely come. The passageway was fine. Lu Ming made up his mind and returned to Xian Yanking's side, waiting for him to break through. A few more months passed, and Xian Yanking's aura reached its peak. Heavenly Emperor Realm. Xian Yanqing had finally broken through. Strange. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with doubt. Xian Yanqing had broken through to the Heavenly Emperor Realm, but the feeling he gave off was different from the other Heavenly Emperors. Whether it was in the Heaven Realm or the Evil God Realm, after breaking through to the Celestial Emperor Realm, no matter what cultivation system one cultivated in, they all belonged to the Heavenly Tao and involved the power of the Heavenly Tao. Of course, Lu Ming's path of domination was an exception. However, Lu Ming did not sense any aura of the Heavenly Tao from Xian Yanqing. There was only pure strength, but it gave off a terrifying feeling. Lu Shenhuang cultivated the same technique as Xian Yanqing. It did not belong to any cultivation system in the Heaven Realm or the Evil God Realm. Lu Ming knew that it should be Xian Yanking's cultivation method from his previous life. Lu Ming, the Divine Wilderness. Not long after the breakthrough, Xian Yanqing retracted his aura. He opened his eyes and smiled at Lu Ming and Lu Shenhuang. Mother, have you completely recovered? Lu Shenhuang was overjoyed. All right, I'm done. Xian Yanqing smiled. Then he turned to look at Xian Yanjuan. Xian Yanjuan smiled, turned around, and disappeared in a flash. Next, the family gathered together, and it was a happy and harmonious time. Lu Ming stayed there for a few more months. In these few months, Lu Ming was completely relaxed and did not spend too much time on cultivation. A few months later, they returned to the primordial realm and met up with Lu Yuntian, Li Ping, and the others. After some time, they arrived at Two World City. After that, Lu Ming planned to stay in Two World City and cultivate while fighting against the alien races. The days seemed to have become dull. Time passed quickly, and it had been 20 years. After 20 years, Lu Ming had finally made another breakthrough. His cultivation level had risen to 3 stars Great Emperor. However, the amount of resources used was also shocking. This time, he used primordial chaos stones. Lu Ming had used up all 20,000 primordial chaos stones in one go. As for the raw gemstones, Lu Ming only had 30% of them left. I'm afraid the remaining resources won't be enough for me to break through to 4-star Great Emperor. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. However, after breaking through to 3-star Great Emperor, the ruler's power in his world energy had become a bit denser, and his battle power had undoubtedly become stronger. However, his physical body had not broken through, and his 7 gods' mysterious skill was still at the early stage of the 6th level. It would take a long time for him to break through to the middle stage. Walala! On this day, Lu Ming was chatting with Xian Yanqing when he suddenly heard the sound of running water. The sound seemed to be coming from a distance. And the sound was getting louder and louder, like the waves of a big river. What's that sound? Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing found it very strange. They flew into the sky to watch. As soon as they flew into the sky, they were all shocked, because people were flying in the sky from all corners of Two World City. They looked in the direction outside Two World City, with puzzled expressions. The voice came from outside Two World City and spread throughout the entire city. Could it be the work of a foreign race? Someone asked doubtfully. Let's go and take a look. Many people flew toward the city walls of Two World City. Chapter 2456 Ancestral Dragons summons Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing also flew toward the city walls of Two World City. When they arrived, they realized that countless people had already gathered on the city walls. However, there was no movement outside the city wall, nor was there any sign of a foreign being. Senior Hengyu, what's going on? Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing saw the Hengyu Heavenly Emperor and walked over to ask. I don't know. There's a strange noise outside Two World City. We've already sent people to check it out. Heavenly Emperor Hengyu said. Everyone waited in silence. Not long after, more than a dozen figures flew back from outside Two World City. What's happening outside the city? Why is there the sound of a great river flowing? Someone immediately asked. In a battlefield outside the city, the space suddenly cracked open, and a river appeared? An old man replied. A river suddenly appeared? Many people were puzzled. That's right. It's a vast yellow river with water flowing out. It's extremely terrifying. A great emperor was splashed by the water, and was immediately corroded to death. The old man said. What? Many people gasped. What river? The river water was so terrifying that even a great emperor would be corroded to death if they were splashed by it. It looks like the legendary Yellow Spring River, in the Nine Nether Heavenly Domain. The old man replied. What? Yellow Spring River? Why would the Yellow Spring River appear on this battlefield? It's said that the Yellow Spring River has no end and flows through the heavens. Perhaps it will pass through this battlefield? But why is it overflowing? Many people were very confused. Yellow Spring River. Lu Ming was shocked. He was sure that it was the Yellow Spring River. Back then, he had gone to the 10,000 Spirit Heavenly Region by accident, and entered the 9 Serenities Heavenly Region with the Archean Body Cultivators. He had used the Yellow Spring River to return to the Tai Ching Heavenly Region. He knew very well that the Yellow Spring River did pass through the battlefield outside the city. Let's go and take a look. Let's go. Many people flew out of the city and toward the source of the sound. Lu Ming, do you want to go and take a look? Heavenly Emperor Hengyu looked at Lu Ming. All right. Lu Ming nodded. He, Xian Yinqing, the Hengyu Heavenly Emperor, and the rest immediately flew toward the source of the voice. Not long after, they arrived at a battlefield and stopped far away. In front of him, cracks appeared in the space. He could clearly see a yellow river flowing through. This river was extremely wide. It flowed through the void, and no one knew where it flowed to. From time to time, yellow river water would overflow and fall on the ground, corroding the earth and creating bottomless pits. It's the Yellow Spring River. Lu Ming muttered. He had seen the netherworld before, and he would not be mistaken. But why did the space suddenly crack, and the Yellow Spring River water overflow? This had never been recorded before. Lu Ming was very puzzled. On the other side of the Yellow Spring River, there were also many people, all of them from the alien races. Obviously, the alien races were also alarmed, and were also watching in bewilderment. Look, a mountain has appeared on the Yellow Spring River. Suddenly, someone cried out in shock. He didn't need to call for the others to see it. In front of the Yellow Spring, a huge mountain appeared in the distance. Countless people were shocked. It was said that no one knew where the end of the Yellow Spring River was, not even the Heaven Sovereign. It was extremely mysterious. It could be said to be one of the most mysterious places in the world. Lu Ming's eyes widened. When they had escaped from the 9 levels of underground to the Tai Ching Heavenly Realm on the sky-reaching battleship, they had also seen such a mountain. At that time, they had already guessed that this was the end of the Yellow Spring River. No one noticed that there was a figure in the depths of the sky. That figure was the Ancestor Dragon. Is it finally here? Moke has been waiting for this day for countless years. Is the legendary Netherworld mountain going to appear again? The ancestral dragon muttered. His eyes were filled with solemnness and anticipation. It's time to make preparations. Let's go, Zulong said and left. 3 days later, a dragon's roar reverberated throughout the entire Taiching heavenly region. Even Two World City could hear it clearly. In Two World City, Lu Ming suddenly stood up. Ancestral dragon, the voice of the ancestral dragon. Lu Ming was shocked. The dragon roar of the ancestral dragon suddenly resounded throughout the Taiching heavenly region. What was going on? What on earth happened? The dragon's roar shocked the entire Taiching heavenly region, and countless people came out of their closed-door cultivation. Then, a piece of news spread like a whirlwind throughout the Taiching heavenly region, and even the primordial realm. The lair of Zulong had appeared, and the Zulong had appeared. The ancestral dragon was a supreme expert who surpassed the heavenly emperor. When the news spread, the Taiching heavenly region was in an uproar. After all, not many people in this world knew about the ancestor dragon. Most people didn't know about the existence of the ancestral dragon. Even some heavenly emperors didn't know. My God, the ancestral dragon, a supreme expert who has surpassed the heavenly emperor? There's actually such an existence in this world. I used to think that it was just a legend. Ha ha ha, my heaven realm actually has such a strong person. How lucky. I heard that there are countless experts in the lair of Zulong. We don't have to be afraid of the alien races now. The appearance of the ancestral dragon boosted the morale of the heaven realm. However, Lu Ming was not so optimistic. The ancestral dragon has suddenly appeared. Is the final battle coming? Lu Ming muttered. He had a bad feeling. Could it be that Saint Ancestor Bloodheart had already fully recovered? Impossible. How many years had it been? At this time, Zulong sent out a large number of experts to invite some people to gather at the lair of Zulong. There were many geniuses among them. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing had also received the invitation. In addition, there was also the Eternal Universe Heavenly Emperor, Dandan, Bubbles, Fengling, Longchen, Ouyang Wushuang, and others. There were no rules. Some had high cultivation levels, while others had low cultivation levels. Lu Ming and the rest set off immediately for the lair of Zulong. A few days later, they arrived at the lair of Zulong and gathered at a huge square under the mountain where Zulong lived. The auras of so many experts. How terrifying. The Eternal Universe Heavenly Emperor, and the others could feel the auras of the powerful beings on the mountain. And they were all shocked. Ha ha ha, after so many years I've come here again. Dandan grinned and laughed. Dandan, did you come here often in the past? Lu Ming asked. Of course, I'm an ordinary person. Unfortunately, I've only seen you once, Dandan said. I really want to see Senior Ancestral Dragon's grace. An unparalleled expert who has surpassed Heavenly Emperor. He's a legendary figure. Fengling, Longchen, and the others were also very excited. As they chatted, more and more people arrived. Lu Ming saw many familiar faces. For example, Tianming, Baoda, and the 9 absolutes of the heaven realm, Lin Xiaofeng, Fulu, and others. These were all geniuses. Lu Ming also saw some powerhouses. Some were at the Great Emperor realm, and some were at the Heavenly Emperor realm. That is, the Titanos? Lu Ming suddenly saw a burly man. Beside him was a tall and thin man. Chapter 2457. The remaining top 10 battle beasts. Back then, before Lu Ming was captured by the alien race, the Titan Longhorn Beetle and the middle-aged man had helped him. Later on, Lu Ming found out from Dandan that the middle-aged man was the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm, one of the top 10 war beasts. Old Bull 9 Lives, you're here too. Come and greet this old man. Dandan shouted at the Titan Longhorn and the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm. The Titan Longhorn Beetle and the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm glanced at Dandan and then stepped forward. Greetings to the 2 seniors. Fengling, Longchen, and even the Hengyu Heavenly Emperor hurriedly bowed. They knew that these 2 were 2 of the top 10 war beasts, so they naturally didn't dare to slight them. Each of the top 10 battle beasts was a terrifying existence, standing at the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm. In ancient times, other than a few unparalleled experts such as the Primal Chaos Emperor and the Undying Emperor, no one was a match for the top 10 war beasts. Of course, this was with the exception of people like Zulong, who had already surpassed Heavenly Emperor. And the Titan Longhorn Beetle and the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm nodded, indicating that there was no need to be so polite. Old Bull, aren't you guarding a void passage in the primordial realm? Why are you here? Dandan asked casually. Senior Ancestral Dragon sent someone to ask me to come. There are already people sent by Senior Ancestral Dragon to guard that place. The Titan Longhorn Beetle replied. Then it glared and said, Old Turtle, you know a lot of secrets. Do you know why the Ancestral Dragon gathered us here? It should be related to Netherworld Mountain, right? Dandan rolled her eyes and said, Netherworld Mountain? Could it be the faintly discernible mountain on the Yellow Spring River? The Titan Longhorn Beetle, 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm, and the others were all puzzled. It should be, but I'm not too sure about the details. Dandan frowned. Haha, what a coincidence today. At this moment, a loud laugh was heard. Following that, a golden light flashed and a burly man with messy hair appeared in the sky. Big Brother Ching Song. Lu Ming revealed a smile. It was the 9-headed golden lion, Ching Song. Old lion, so you didn't die. When it saw Ching Song and the Titan Longhorn Beetle, it glared at them. Nonsense, if you, an old bull, are not dead, how can I die? Ching Song also glared at Dandan and said, Also, if this outrageous old turtle didn't die, how could I die? Hey, what did you say? Be careful with your words. Dandan was furious, her eyes wide open. Dandan, what kind of outrageous things have you done in the past? Lu Ming asked curiously. Pfft, what do you mean by that? They're framing me. Dandan's eyes were even bigger than the Titan Longhorn. Framed? Who used to rob people's ancestral graves every day. One time, I even stole it from the undying Venerable Emperor and was taught a lesson by him. I almost became a roasted turtle. Ching Song said disdainfully. Lu Ming was suddenly enlightened. He finally understood why Dandan could not obtain the indestructible ancient scroll when it was first born. It turned out that this guy had robbed the ancestral grave of the immortal Venerable Emperor in the past. It was already kind of him not to kill him. This guy was indeed unreliable. Wait, what's this guy's name? Dandan? Ha ha ha. The Titan Longhorn Beetle said. After it finished speaking, it began to laugh wildly. Dandan? Eggy. Ha ha. Ching Song also laughed. Even the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm couldn't help but laugh. As for Huang Ling, Long Chun, and the others, they wanted to laugh but didn't dare to. Their faces were red from holding back their laughter. You guys. Dandan was so angry that she was stomping her feet. Many people in the surroundings looked over. Some of them recognized Ching Song, the Titan Bull, and the others, and were shocked. These were all the top 10 battle beasts, the ancient era's giant crocodiles. Now many of them were gathered together. The 9-headed golden lion, the Titan Longhorn Beetle, the 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm, the World God Turtle, and the Spacetime Spirit Rat. There were 5 of them. It had been many years since they had last seen them. This is Spacetime Spirit Mouse? So back then. After laughing for a while, Ching Song looked at Bubbles and sighed. The Titan Longhorn and 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm stopped laughing. Their expressions were somewhat dejected. During that battle, I was captured by the alien races long ago. I wonder how the others are doing? Ching Song asked. The battle back then was too tragic. 9 Lives and I were seriously injured and haven't recovered for many years. The old turtle's injuries were even worse. You were captured, and only the 5 Elements Chilant's injuries were better. He's been by the dragon ancestors' side all these years. As for the others, almost all of them died. The Titan Longhorn Beetle sighed. The 9 dragons died in the primordial realm. The sacred spirit ant, the undying celestial phoenix, and the Archean dragonesque elephant all died. Spacetime was even more miserable. Even their corpses were used by the alien races. The 9 Lives Devilish Silkworm sighed. Even Dandan's eyes were a little dejected. In ancient times, the top 10 war beasts were extremely glorious. Back then, there were some conflicts and grudges between them. However, after the ancient war, Those grudges had long disappeared. Now there were only a few of them left. At the side, Lu Ming also sighed secretly. The more he knew, the more he could imagine the tragic battle that year. Too many experts had died in battle. Even a sect as powerful as the Hunyuan sect was almost completely destroyed. During this period of time, Lu Ming had learned from Earth One, Thunder One and the rest. Hunyuan sect, in ancient times, had once ruled the Hunyuan heavenly region, and was extremely powerful. Hunyuan sect had 9 halls. For example, the Primal Chaos Hall was one of the 9 halls of the Hunyuan sect. There was also the Time-Space Spirit Hall, and the previous generation's Time-Space Spirit Rat was the Hall Master. The 9 Hall Masters were almost all peak heavenly emperors. However, the Primal Chaos Emperor was the leader of the 9 halls. Hunyuan sect's Grandmaster was a terrifying figure, not weaker than the Primal Chaos Emperor. Such a powerful force was also annihilated in the battle that year. The 9 Hall Masters and Hunyuan sect Master had all died in battle. Only the Primal Chaos Hall had left behind some puppets. As for the Hunyuan sect headquarters, there were no experts left behind, only the Array Spirit inside. The Array Spirit was the one who had arranged for Lu Ming and the others to take the Hunyuan sect assessment. He had already understood these matters from Earth One and the others. As the crowd chatted, thousands of people had gathered in the square. Suddenly, a light flashed from the mountain, and a few figures flew out. The one leading them was Zulong. There were a few people following behind the ancestral dragon, and some of them were the 5 elements Qilin. The other one had an unfathomable aura. Clearly, he was also an extremely terrifying expert. The ancestral dragon flew out and stood in the air. A supreme aura emanated from his body that even the heavenly Tao was suppressed. Although most of them had never seen the ancestral dragon before, they all knew that it was the ancestral dragon when they sensed the aura. Greetings, Senior Ancestral Dragon. The thousands of people all saluted respectfully. Rise. The ancestral dragon waved his hand, and everyone felt a force lifting them up. Even a peak heavenly emperor couldn't resist. I'm sure you're all very curious as to why I've suddenly gathered you here, right? Zulong said. Chapter 2458. Ancient Secret, Netherworld Mountain. Everyone's spirit was shaken. Was the ancestral dragon finally going to reveal the purpose of gathering everyone? They were also very curious. There are several aspects involved in this. Zulong muttered. The first is the existence that surpasses the Heavenly Emperor realm. Many people call my realm the Supreme Realm, or the Ancestral Emperor. In fact, this realm is called the Martial God Realm, the realm above the Martial Emperor. Zulong said. The War God. Many people were shocked and their eyes lit up. It turned out that the Martial God Realm was above the Martial Supreme Realm. God. So there really were gods in the world. Qing Tsang and the other peak heavenly emperors were especially excited. They were already at the peak of the Heavenly Emperor realm. Their next step would be to break through to the Martial God realm and transcend beyond the Heavenly Tao, not bound by the Heavenly Tao. Everyone's imagination ran wild, and Zulong started to explain. In the ancient times, there were 4 martial gods in the Heaven realm and the Evil God realm. I, the owner of the prison-suppressing steel, am the ancestor of the prison-suppressing field. I am the prison-suppressing ancestor. There's also a saint ancestor of the non-human race. The last one is called Saint Ancestor Bloodheart. The 4 martial gods were divided into 2 camps. Prison-guarding Patriarch and I were good friends, while the Killing Heart Saint Ancestor and the non-human Saint Ancestor were on the same side. They wanted to invade the Heaven realm and destroy the human race and the divine beasts. That was the start of the ancient war. Each side has 2 war gods. Everyone's heart stirred, and they perked up to listen. They knew that they were about to find out some ancient secrets. It was a brutal battle. The 4 of us fought in the dark void for 100 years. In the end, prison-guarding Patriarch and Saint Ancestor Bloodheart both died. Zulong continued. Some of the people from the prison suppression field looked sad. The divine ancestor and I were both severely injured. Even now, we haven't recovered from our injuries. We've been recuperating all these years. The outsiders are afraid of me, so they didn't dare to attack with full force. Zulong continued. Everyone came to a sudden realization. Although the outsiders were powerful as a whole, the martial god didn't have the upper hand and didn't dare to fight them head-on. This was normal. Senior Ancestral Dragon didn't say why the alien races attacked the Heaven Realm. At this moment, Lu Ming thought of a problem. This question had been on his mind for a long time, but since Zulong didn't say anything, he didn't ask. However, the situation has changed. Saint Ancestor Bloodheart isn't dead. The Ancestral Dragon continued. What? Other than Lu Ming and a few others, the rest were shocked and their faces were filled with shock. The sacred Ancestor Bloodheart was still alive? Didn't that mean that there were two martial gods in the evil god realm? On their side, there was only one martial god. How were they going to fight? If that was the case, the Heaven Realm was no match for the alien races. The overall strength of the alien races was stronger than that of the Heaven Realm. With the addition of the two martial gods, the Heaven Realm was going to be destroyed. Some people's eyes were filled with despair. However, although Saint Ancestor Bloodheart didn't die, he was severely injured in the battle with the prison-guarding patriarch, and only a trace of his bloodline is left. This is related to the next thing I'm going to talk about, which is Netherworld Mountain. Zulong continued. Netherworld Mountain? Many people were stunned. Yes, Yellow Spring Mountain. I believe many people have seen or heard of it. Outside the Two-World City, the space cracked open and the Yellow Spring River appeared. At the end of the river, there is a mountain. That is Yellow Spring Mountain. Netherworld Mountain, an extremely hidden place. Even I have never entered it. Zulong said. Everyone was shocked. As a martial god expert, the Ancestral Dragon had transcended the heavenly path and was truly invincible in the world. In everyone's hearts, he should be an omniscient figure. However, even the Ancestral Dragon had never been there. What kind of place was that? I've also read a few records from some extremely ancient books. Legend has it that Netherworld Mountain doesn't belong to the Heaven Realm, the Primordial Realm, or the Evil God Realm. Instead, it comes from beyond the heavens. Zulong said. Beyond the heavens? Many people were dumbfounded. Beyond the heavens? What did that mean? Could there be other worlds apart from the Primordial Realm, Heaven Realm, and Evil God Realm? Beyond the heavens? Dandan whispered, frowning, as if she knew something. Beyond the heavens? Peoba muttered, her eyes filled with doubt. Bubble, what do you know? Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Bubbles. I don't know. Some images will appear in my mind, but I can't see them clearly. Pow Pow said. Lu Ming was puzzled and did not understand. Dandan glanced at Bubbles and did not say anything. Senior, what is beyond the heavens? Someone could not help but ask. Beyond the heavens? The Ancestral Dragon looked up at the sky, and a look of reminiscence seemed to flash in his eyes. After a while he said, That's a vast place. We'll talk about this later. Let's talk about Netherworld Mountain first. It's said that Netherworld Mountain comes from beyond the sky. It's extremely ancient and mysterious. Usually, it's covered by a layer of restriction. Even I can't enter it. However, it doesn't mean that you can't enter forever. It's said that after every 10,000 tribulations, the restriction of Netherworld Mountain will be opened once. At that time, you can enter. Everyone was even more shocked. Even the Ancestral Dragon couldn't enter, so who else could? Also, the Myriad Tribulation will be activated once. Myriad Tribulations, how long were those? Each tribulation was 333,333 years long. So wouldn't 10,000 tribulations be more than 3 billion years? Everyone looked at each other. According to the ancient records, Netherworld Mountain is like a world of its own and contains countless treasures. Heaven Dao soldier-grade treasures can be found anywhere, and there are even some treasures that possess heaven-defying effects. No matter how heavy one's injuries are, they can be healed very quickly. This time, Netherworld Mountain is about to open. That's why there are so many strange phenomena. The non-human divine ancestor has been waiting for this opportunity. He wants to take the sacred ancestor Bloodheart into Netherworld Mountain and obtain an opportunity. Not only will his own injuries be healed, but the sacred ancestor Bloodheart's injuries will also be healed. In that case, we'll be even more unable to resist. That's why I've gathered all of you here this time to bring you into Netherworld Mountain. Firstly, you can stop the foreign tribe. Secondly, you can also obtain opportunities. If you can obtain great opportunities inside, I'm afraid your cultivation will advance by leaps and bounds. Zulong explained. Everyone came to a realization. So this was the reason why Zulong had gathered them. He would stop the alien race and then obtain the opportunity to improve his cultivation. Most of you are people with great luck. After you enter, you will have a higher chance of obtaining an opportunity. However, I have to remind you that Netherworld Mountain is very dangerous. This time, many outsiders will enter with you. That is for sure. Moreover, Netherworld Mountain is vast and boundless. According to ancient records, the area inside is unimaginably vast. I'm afraid it's no smaller than the total area of the 9 heaven domains in the heaven realm. Moreover, there are countless living beings in there, including humans and other races. They have established their own countries, and they are extremely prosperous and powerful. There are even martial god realm experts in there. Zulong's face was solemn as he warned. What? Everyone was dumbfounded. Chapter 2459 Departure. The ancestral dragon's words left everyone dumbfounded. The Netherworld Mountain was vast, no smaller than the 9 sky regions in the heaven realm combined. There were all kinds of creatures living in it, forming countries. There were even martial god realm experts. This was too unbelievable. Netherworld Mountain was a completely different heaven realm, or evil god realm. However, there's one thing you can rest assured about. No living being in Netherworld Mountain, no matter how powerful they are, even the martial god, can never come out. It's said that the people in Netherworld Mountain have been cursed, and will be trapped in the mountain forever for generations. Even the cursed creatures can't enter some places in Netherworld Mountain. Only the creatures who are not cursed can enter. So this is our chance. The ancestral dragon continued, and all kinds of thoughts ran through everyone's mind. Therefore, although there will be great opportunities in Netherworld Mountain, it will also be very dangerous. If we go in, not only will we have to face and kill the alien tribes, but we might also have to kill the living creatures in Netherworld Mountain. Therefore, I will not force you. If you want to leave, you can leave now. The ancestral dragon's voice reverberated throughout the area, but no one left. According to the ancestral dragon, Netherworld Mountain came from beyond the sky. It was extremely mysterious and had many treasures. Even martial gods had their eyes on it. Even the ancestral dragon had never entered it. The myriad tribulation only opened once, so there must be a great opportunity. Although it would be accompanied by danger. When had there been no danger in cultivation? Even if they didn't go in, when the alien race's martial god recovered and came to the heaven realm, they would still die. It was better to go in and take a risk. Alright, since that's the case, we'll go in. Zulong announced. They couldn't bring too many people in. Otherwise, they would be finished if the alien races attacked them. He believed that the foreign races were the same. They didn't dare to send too many people in. However, after you enter, you must remember a few things. First, after entering, if you see any outsiders, kill them. Second, try your best to find places that the creatures of Netherworld Mountain can't enter. There's a high probability of finding opportunities in those places. Third, remember to take advantage of the situation. Sometimes, you can use the power of the living beings of Netherworld Mountain to kill the alien race. If you can use the martial god realm experts of Netherworld Mountain to kill the alien race's divine ancestor, and the saint ancestor Bloodheart, you can protect the heaven realm. Zulong warned him seriously. Everyone nodded and agreed in unison. Of course, I haven't entered it. I read these according to extremely ancient books. Since the myriad tribulations have passed, I don't know what has happened in Netherworld Mountain. Therefore, after entering, the most important thing is to adapt to the situation. Alright, Netherworld Mountain will open in a month. All of you will gather here in a month. I'm afraid it will take a long time before you can come out. If you have anything to do, make arrangements in advance. The ancestral dragon ordered. Yes. Everyone received the order and left the place. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing left the place, planning to bid farewell to Li Ping and Lu Yintian. This trip would take quite a long time. Even the ancestral dragon said that it would take a long time, so it must really take a long time. Moreover, Lu Ming would not miss this trip. Lu Ming wanted to improve quickly. He could not cultivate step by step. It was too slow. Moreover, he needed too many resources to improve his cultivation level. The resources he had on him were simply not enough for him to improve. This trip to Netherworld Mountain might be an opportunity for him. When he returned to the Heavenly Emperor City, he bade farewell to Li Ping and Lu Yintian, saying that they would be going into seclusion for a period of time. He asked Lu Shenhuang, Mu Wanxian, and Lu Qi to stay in the Heavenly Emperor City to accompany Li Ping and the rest. A month passed by in a hurry. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing returned to the square in the lair of Zulong. Everyone gathered again. Ancestral Dragon stood in the air and waved his hand. A small boat appeared and then quickly became bigger. This is a sky-reaching warship? No, it's not the ship that belonged to the Archean body cultivator. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. He realized that the boat Zulong took out was very similar to the sky-reaching battleships that the Archean body cultivators used to take out. It could float on the Yellow Spring River. The Archean body cultivators once said that the sky-reaching battleship was obtained from a historical site by their ancestors. Could it be that the treasure that can resist the Netherworld water was obtained from Netherworld Mountain? Lu Ming had a thought. This ship is called the Sky-Reaching Warship. All of you can board it. If you want to enter Netherworld Mountain, you must use this treasure to cross the Netherworld River. Zulong said. Yes. Immediately, thousands of people rose into the air and flew toward the warship. It's indeed also called a heaven-reaching warship. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. He held Xian Yinqing's hand and flew to the sky-reaching battleship. The sky-reaching battleship was extremely large, and thousands of people could only occupy a small space. After everyone had entered the warship shrank rapidly and was put away by the ancestral dragon. Then the ancestral dragon took a step forward and disappeared from the lair of Zulong. The next moment, the space outside the two-world city trembled, and the ancestral dragon appeared. The speed was unbelievable. Moke! The ancestral dragon looked forward. The void in front of him shook, and another figure appeared. It was the saint ancestor of the non-human race, Emokuo. Ancestral dragon, this time, you'll definitely lose. Killing heart, and I will recover in Netherworld Mountain, and take your head. The non-human divine ancestor Moke said coldly. Let's see who will have the last laugh. Yes, Zulong replied coldly. He took a step forward and rushed into the spatial crack. He came to the sky above the Yellow Spring River and waved his hand. The supreme battleship enlarged rapidly and landed on the Yellow Spring River. Zulong then landed on the deck of the supreme battleship. At the same time, the non-human divine ancestor had also entered the Yellow Spring. He took out a battleship similar to the sky-reaching battleship and also landed in the Yellow Spring River. The two warships advanced side by side, heading toward the Yellow Spring. The experts from both sides sized each other up and clashed. The first prince, Kando. On the alien warship, Lu Ming saw a few extremely talented figures on the longevity roll. The top-ranked geniuses on the longevity roll were all there. Clearly, the non-human divine ancestor had the same thought as the ancestral dragon. Choosing people to enter Netherworld Mountain wasn't based on cultivation, but on luck. Only those with stronger luck would be able to obtain fortuitous encounters, and even kill their opponents. The two sides did not make a move. If they did, they would only end up with both sides suffering losses. No one had the confidence. The two battleships continued to move forward. In front of the Yellow Spring River, a huge mountain was looming, as if it was extremely far away. They had been traveling for 3 months, but they still hadn't reached the end of the Yellow Spring River. Moreover, the mountain was still in front of them, and they didn't know how far it was. Soon, at this moment, the ancestral dragon spoke, and everyone's spirit was lifted. Was he finally here? Look, that mountain is gone. Not good. There's a vortex in front. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. In front of him, the mountain had disappeared. In its place was an incomparably huge vortex. All the water of the netherworld was flowing into that vortex. Could this be the end of the Yellow Springs? Chapter 2460. The human race of Netherworld Mountain at the end of the Yellow Spring River was a huge vortex. The huge warship looked like a tiny ant in front of the vortex. Boom, boom, boom. Deafening rumbles rang out. The current was too fast, forming a terrifying suction force that acted on the warship, trying to suck it in. Not good, let's go. Many people's expressions changed drastically. They wanted to take to the air and leave this place. The Yellow Springs water was so powerful that even a heavenly emperor would be in danger if he were to be swept into it. Those below the heavenly emperor realm would definitely die. If they were sucked into this vortex, they would be dead. Hold on. We can only enter Netherworld Mountain through this vortex. At this moment, the ancestral dragon shouted. His voice was like a bell that rang in everyone's hearts. Everyone managed to calm down. The ancestral dragon would not harm them. The Outlander race's divine ancestor managed to suppress the commotion. Boom, boom, boom. The two sky-reaching battleships were swept into the Yellow Springs vortex and disappeared. Lu Ming and the rest felt a terrifying pressure pressing down on them. Their surroundings were pitch black and they could not see anything at all. They could not even hear a sound. It was silent all around. Voila! The next moment, they seemed to have passed through something, and the light around them suddenly brightened. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes widened. He had a shocking discovery. At this moment, they were high up in the sky and not on the sky-connecting warship. They had no idea where the warship had gone. All of them, including the non-humans, were thrown down by an extremely powerful force. Even Lu Ming found it difficult to resist this power. Below them, there was a huge mountain. They were falling towards the mountain. In the beginning, the mountain didn't look very big. However, as they got closer to the mountain looked bigger and bigger. All of them had deviated from their original course and were getting further and further away from each other. Little Qing. Lu Ming saw that Xian Yanqing, Dandan, Bubbles, and the rest were getting further and further away from him. They were flying to different locations on the mountain. The speed at which they were falling was getting faster and faster, because a terrifying gravitational force was coming from the mountain. What a huge mountain! The closer he got to the mountain, the more he realized how huge, terrifying, and majestic it was. From a distance, it didn't seem like much, but when they got closer, they realized that any protrusion or flat ground on this mountain was a vast and boundless plain. Big, it was too big. This mountain really was like a huge world. As they got closer and closer, they could even see large rivers and huge cities. All of them had landed in different positions. Lu Ming could no longer see Xian Yanqing, Dandan, and the others. He looked up and could only see a few figures, who were very far away from him. Buzz. Lu Ming landed on the edge of the mountain. As he got closer, he realized that there was a dense forest below him. A terrifying force of gravity pulled Lu Ming towards the forest. What a terrifying gravity! On this mountain, the gravity is thousands of times stronger than the outside world. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. He activated the world energy, stabilized his body, and fell toward the forest. Boom! Lu Ming landed heavily in a forest, creating a huge pit on the ground. The powerful shock wave shattered the ancient trees in the surroundings. Ooh! Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief. He had finally arrived at Netherworld Mountain. The origin energy here. No, this isn't origin energy. The next moment, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He discovered that the heaven and earth here was filled with a type of energy. It was not the original qi, but an energy of a higher grade than the original qi. Its quality was higher than the original qi, and he could also absorb and refine it. The effect was at least 10 times better than the original qi. This Lu Ming was shocked. This meant that the speed of his cultivation here was much faster than in the outside world. Although it might not be 10 times faster, it would be at least 5 times faster. What is the origin of this Netherworld Mountain? The cultivation conditions are actually so much better than the heaven realm? Lu Ming's mind was filled with thoughts. Buzz. Whoosh. At this moment, Lights and shadows flickered in the surroundings. The next moment, many figures appeared and surrounded Lu Ming. Human. At the sight of these figures, Lu Ming was shocked. These figures were all humans. There were more than 30 of them, and their cultivation was shockingly high. All of them were at the Great Emperor realm. More than 30 great emperors had appeared. Even in the Heaven realm, they were a powerful force. More than 30 people glared at Lu Ming with killing intent in their eyes. They gritted their teeth and wished they could cut Lu Ming into 8 pieces. Lu Ming could not figure it out. He had just arrived and did not offend these people. Why were they looking at him with fierce expressions? In particular, there was a young lady among them who was as beautiful as a flower. She was looking at Lu Ming with resentment, as if he had done something outrageous. "Kid, who are you? Why did you stop us from capturing the Jade Blood Fox?" One of the burly men glared at Lu Ming, his body exuding a powerful aura. He was a 5-star great emperor, and he was very powerful. "Disrupt your capture of the Jade Blood Fox?" Lu Ming was dumbfounded. He didn't. He had just arrived. "You're still playing dumb. We spent 3 months to lure the Jade Blood Fox here. We were about to catch it, but you descended from the sky and caused such a huge commotion, scaring it away. You're still denying it?" The woman glared at Lu Ming hatefully and said through gritted teeth. Lu Ming finally understood. He had just descended from the sky, and the other party happened to be here to capture a Jade Blood Fox, and he had just so happened to scare the other party away. This was too much of a coincidence. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He was really speechless. "Everyone, I really didn't do it on purpose. I'm willing to compensate for the losses I caused." Lu Ming said. "Compensation? How? Jade blood foxes are extremely rare and difficult to catch. Can you catch one?" The young woman continued to speak with hatred. "Miss, why bother talking nonsense with him? I think he was sent by MOU to disrupt our capture of the Jade blood fox." The 5-star Great Emperor realm burly man said angrily. "That's right, they must have been sent by MOU. It must be. He doesn't want us to cure the master." The others also roared in anger. "In my opinion, we should capture him first and interrogate him." A white-haired elder charged at Lu Ming. He reached out his hand and a huge claw was aimed at Lu Ming. This old man had the cultivation of 2-star Great Emperor. This cultivation system. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Then he gathered a little energy and pointed his finger. Lu Ming was very curious about the cultivation methods of these people, and wanted to test them. Therefore he did not use his full strength and only used a trace of his strength. Chapter 2461 Capturing the Eyed Blood Fox. Bang! Lu Ming's finger touched the other party's claw. After a loud boom, the other party's body shook violently and he flew backward. He kept retreating and his face was a little pale. This kind of training method is somewhat similar to the primordial training system, but not exactly. It's more similar to Little Qing's training method, but it's far less exquisite than Little Qing's. Lu Ming's mind was racing. This kid is quite capable. I'll take him down, a middle-aged woman said. This middle-aged woman was tall and strong, but she used a large saber. The blade was faster than the palm. Buzz. Whoosh. The middle-aged woman moved and pounced toward Lu Ming. She slashed hundreds of times in an instant. The dazzling saber light was about to annihilate Lu Ming. There was only pure power on each blade light. There was no fluctuation of nomological laws or great Tao. Lu Ming moved like a butterfly, shuttling back and forth between the knife lights, sensing the other party's cultivation path in detail. The middle-aged woman was a 4-star Great Emperor. Her expression changed. She shouted and unleashed all of her strength. She slashed her saber at Lu Ming. However, they could not even touch the corner of Lu Ming's clothes. Lu Ming always dodged them exquisitely. At the side, the other people's faces all became serious. "Let's attack together and take him down," the 5-star Great Emperor ordered. This person had the highest cultivation level among this group of people. The strength that Lu Ming had displayed was too powerful. Even a 4-star Great Emperor was fooled by him. Even if he were to take action personally, he was afraid that he would not be able to do anything to Lu Ming. Therefore he had asked everyone to attack together. Attack, die. Big River shouted softly and pounced at Lu Ming first. He struck out with his palm, and the force of his palm was overwhelming. At the same time, the other 30-plus people also made their moves. Of course, except for the young woman, who was not a great emperor. The combined attack of more than 30 great emperors was shockingly powerful. All kinds of attacks were aimed at Lu Ming from all directions. Let's stop here. Lu Ming muttered. A purple gold light flashed on his body, and he instantly struck more than 30 times. Bang! Bang! There were more than 30 consecutive explosions. More than 30 silhouettes retreated frantically. Each and every one of them was pale as they stared at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming had only used one move, and he had instantly repelled them. They understood that Lu Ming was too powerful, far above them. Lu Ming had been merciful just now. Otherwise they would have all died. The young woman's eyes were brimming with tears. She stared at Lu Ming and said, "Why is Mou so ruthless? My father is already seriously injured. Why don't you let us cure him? Did you capture that jade blood fox to treat someone's injuries?" Lu Ming asked. "You're still acting dumb. Don't you know that Mou sent you here? Mou injured my father, and only the blood of the jade blood fox can cure my father's injuries," the young woman said. On the other hand, the burly man and the rest surrounded the young lady cautiously to prevent Lu Ming from attacking her. "Where is the jade blood fox? Perhaps I can help you catch it." Lu Ming touched his nose and said. After all, he was the one who disturbed the other party's capture of the jade blood fox. He was a little embarrassed. Moreover, if he could help the other party capture the jade blood fox, he would definitely win their favor. Lu Ming had just arrived and needed to find out more information through the people in Netherworld Mountain. "You'll help us? Although your cultivation is high, it's impossible for you to catch a jade blood fox. A jade blood fox comes and goes without a trace, doesn't have a fixed residence, and is extremely fast. It's very difficult to find a trace of it unless you use the jade blood grass to attract it. However, the jade blood grass is too rare. Do you know how much effort we spent to buy one? Where can we get the jade blood grass now?" The young woman was on the verge of tears as she spoke. She looked at Lu Ming with hidden bitterness. "What? Jade blood grass? Rare?" Lu Ming was stunned. He remembered that there was also a spiritual herb in the heaven realm called the jade blood herb. Although it was not common, it was very common. Lu Ming had at least a few hundred of them. Could it be that they only had the same name? Lu Ming was a little uncertain. "Miss, the jade blood grass you mentioned, is it this kind?" Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. A spiritual herb appeared in his hand, and he showed it to the young lady. The young woman and the others widened their eyes. "Jade blood grass, you also have jade blood grass? Can you sell this jade blood grass to us?" After the young woman finished speaking, she stuck out her tongue and secretly scolded herself for being stupid. The other party had come specifically to disrupt their capture of the jade blood fox, so why would he sell them the jade blood grass? He was probably here to make them angry. Many thoughts flashed through the young woman's mind. But the next moment, her eyes suddenly widened. This was because there was a continuous flash of light in Lu Ming's hand. A pile of jade blood grass appeared. There were dozens of them. So many? How is that possible? The young woman was dumbfounded. The others weren't any better. Although the jade blood grass was not a high-level spiritual grass, it was very rare. They had spent a lot of effort to buy one, and they had already used it up. However, Lu Ming took out dozens of them at once, making them think that they were dreaming. "There's no need to sell it. Since I'm the one who disturbed you guys from capturing the jade blood fox, I should atone for my sins by helping you guys capture the jade blood fox." Lu Ming smiled. "Are you really going to help us? Are you really not sent by Mou?" the young woman asked. "Of course not. I really landed here unintentionally. Previously, I was fighting with an enemy in the sky, but I was no match for him and was blasted down BV him." Lu Ming told a lie. "I see. It seems like we have wronged you. I'm sorry." The young woman stuck out her tongue and smiled, looking very cute. "Then let's start. How do I use the jade blood grass?" Lu Ming asked. "It'll be fine as long as it's ignited. Once the jade blood grass is ignited, it will emit a strange smell that will attract the jade blood fox. However, we have to change our location. We have just disturbed it here. The jade blood fox is extremely cautious, and I'm afraid it won't come a second time. Let's go ahead, the young woman said. All right. Lu Ming nodded and flew forward. The gravity here was too strong. It was thousands of times stronger than the heaven realm. As a result, flying here was thousands of times more laborious, and naturally, the speed was much slower. The young woman and the other 30-odd people also rose into the air and followed Lu Ming. My name is Su Rong. What's your name? The young woman asked on the way. Lu Ming. Lu Ming answered. In a short while, they had flown tens of thousands of miles, planning to catch the jade blood fox here. Lu Ming immediately ignited 10 stalks of jade blood grass, causing Su Rong and the rest to feel heartache. The jade blood grass emitted a strange smell that spread far away. As for Lu Ming and the rest, they retreated 100 miles and surrounded the area. They then waited quietly. Chapter 2462 Fengming Country. The jade blood grass was very resistant to fire and burned very slowly. One jade blood grass could burn for 10 days. They had waited for a full 6 days. Suddenly, there was a red bolt of lightning in the forest in front of them. It shot towards the burning jade blood grass at an extremely fast speed. It was not lightning. Lu Ming could see clearly that it was a blood-red fox. It was very small, less than half a meter long. They're here. Su Rong's eyes lit up. Attack! The burly man shouted. Then more than 30 people pounced on the jade blood fox from all directions, forming an encirclement. Squeak! The jade blood fox was frightened and let out a few shrieks. Its forelimbs stretched out and it retreated like a bolt of lightning. Stop! In that direction, a few great Emperor realm powerhouses shouted. Their power formed a huge hand that grabbed at the jade blood fox. The jade blood fox charged left and right, but all its escape routes were blocked. There was no way out. Squeak! The jade blood fox screeched and suddenly leaped. Its body turned into a sword light and rushed over. Plop! One of the great Emperor's hand was pierced through by the jade blood fox. The fox rushed past it and turned into a bolt of lightning, leaving at top speed. Not good, quickly chase! Su Rong shouted. The other people's faces were also unsightly. This jade blood fox didn't match the rumors. It was rumored that jade blood foxes were extremely cautious and didn't have a fixed residence. They came and went without a trace and were extremely fast. However, their cultivation wasn't high and their combat strength wasn't strong. A great emperor was enough to deal with them. However, the jade blood fox was able to transform into a sword beam and break through a great emperor's attack. This was something they had not expected. They pursued madly, but the jade blood fox was even faster than them. It was like a red bolt of lightning, rapidly flying into the distance and about to escape. This time, the jade blood fox had been surrounded and was escaping. With its cautious nature, it would be extremely difficult to attract it over. Su Rong was on the verge of tears. At this moment, a figure rushed out at an extremely fast speed. It was even faster than the jade blood fox and disappeared in the blink of an eye. So fast, Su Rong and the rest were stunned because the person who had rushed out was Lu Ming. Hope rose in their hearts. They hoped that Lu Ming would be able to catch it. They gritted their teeth and gave chase. After a while, they saw Lu Ming stepping on the air in front of them. He was holding a blood-red little fox in his hand, and it was struggling nonstop. It was the jade blood fox. I caught it, I caught it! Su Rong jumped up in excitement, and the others were also overjoyed. Miss Su, I'm glad I didn't fail you. Lu Ming smiled and passed the jade blood fox to Su Rong. Lu Ming, thank you. It's all thanks to you this time. Su Rong was so excited that her face turned red. She quickly took the jade blood fox and kept it in a jade bottle. Her father was saved, and her face was full of smiles. Lu Ming, where are you going next? Su Rong asked. To be honest, I was just about to ask. Where is this place? Lu Ming asked. You don't know where we are? Su Rong was curious. I actually came from a distant place. I was chased by someone, and I was running for my life. I don't even know where I am now. Lu Ming gave a bitter smile. This is the 10-square forest of Fengming country. Our Su family is in Great Ming City, which is one of the big cities in Fengming country. Su Rong said. Great Ming City, country of Fengming? Lu Ming muttered. The ancestral dragon said that there were tens of thousands of countries in Netherworld Mountain. And it seemed like it was true. Lu Ming, since you're not from here, why don't you return to Great Ming City with us first, and then think of a way to go back? Su Rong said. We can only do this for now. Lu Ming pretended to be helpless and nodded. Su Rong was overjoyed. Then, a group of people appeared and returned to the Great Ming City. The 10-square forest was not too far from the Great Ming City. It was only 1,000,000 miles away. However, the flying speed here was much slower. It took them a few hours to reach the Great Ming City. Great Ming City was a majestic city. It was very huge and could be ranked in the top 20 even in the vast country of Fengming. On the way, Lu Ming also learned from Su Rong how her father was injured. Her father had challenged a man called Mou and was injured by him. As for Mou, he was the guard of a commander in Fengming. Along the way, Su Rong talked a lot to Lu Ming. Fengming country advocated martial strength and used martial strength to rule the country. Under the Fengming country's king, there were 13 commanders. Each of them led a large army and guarded a region. They were all extremely powerful existences. The Great Ming City was under the rule of one of the commanders. Under this commander, there were 18 guards. Mou was one of the guards under this commander, and his combat strength was very strong. However, there was a rule in Fengming country. All status was based on strength, and it could be fought for with strength. As long as he could defeat his opponent, he would be able to replace his opponent's position. For example, if they defeated or even killed Mou, they could replace him and become the guard of that commander. They would be high and mighty and run amok in an area. My father didn't covet the position of the other party's commander and guard. He was forced by Mou to challenge him. In the end, Su Rong sighed. Oh, what's going on? Lu Ming asked. Mou set up a bet with my big brother, and he lost in the end. He's in debt, and even if I sell the entire Su family, I can't pay off those debts. Su Rong sighed. Lu Ming nodded. He roughly understood. The group walked through the city gate and headed in the direction of the Su family. There are so many races? Lu Ming was shocked the moment he entered the city. Within the city, the streets were wide and people were coming and going. However, it wasn't just the human race. There were also other races. For example, they had horns on their heads and were of a race similar to humans. There were also races that had long tails, and races that had human-shaped upper bodies but snake-like lower bodies. These races were definitely not formed by the divine beasts, but were born like this. Lu Ming looked around and saw at least 4 to 5 races. These races did not exist in the Heaven Realm, Primordial Realm, or Evil God Realm. The ancestral dragon said that Netherworld Mountain came from beyond the heavens. Could these be the races from beyond the heavens? Lu Ming pondered. Then he thought of the statue at the core of the Void God Island. That statue had a pair of wings on its back. It was also a race that had never been seen before. Was there any connection between all these? However, Lu Ming realized that the number of humans was the highest. After passing through a few streets, a huge mansion appeared in front of them. This mansion was the Su family. However, at this moment, the Su family's residence was surrounded by people. What's going on? The faces of Su Rong and the others changed, and they rushed over. It's Su Rong. Many people saw Su Rong and quickly made way for her. Chapter 2463 Commander Guard Lu Ming. And the group walked through the crowd, and discovered that there were 2 groups of people in a confrontation at the entrance of the Su family. One of the groups was led by a burly man in iron armor. His eyes were ferocious. Beside him was a group of armored experts from different races. All of them had powerful auras and were great Emperor Realm experts. Mou! Su Rong shouted. The brawny man heard the voice and looked over. When he saw Su Rong, he laughed. So it's the young lady of the Su family. You've come back just in time. This burly man was Mou. Opposite Mou and the others was another group of people. The leader was a man who looked to be in his 60s. However, his chi was extremely weak, dispirited, and his face was pale. It was obvious that he had been seriously injured. Rong quickly come over. The man in his 60s shouted. Father, how are you? Su Rong quickly ran over and said worriedly. This man was Su Rong's father, Su Yuanshan. I'm fine, Su Yuanshan said, but after a few words, his face turned pale and he gasped for breath. Mou, what are you doing in my Su family again? Su Rong glared at Mou. What are you doing? Your big brother still owes me a lot of divine stones. Of course I'm here to collect the debt. Mou sneered. When he looked at Su Rong, a fiery light flashed in the depths of his eyes. How many immortal stones does my big brother owe you? Mou said. 800,000 divine stones. Mou said. I only owe you 300,000 yuan. A young man beside Su Yuanshan shouted. This young man was Su Rong's elder brother, Su Feng. You don't want interest? You've been in debt for a year. With interest, it's 800,000. Mou said with a cold smile. An increase of 500,000 yuan in a year? Why don't you just rob someone? Su Rong shouted angrily. This is the rule here. It's only right to pay back what you owe. Hurry up and return it. Mou scolded. 800,000 divine stones. Even if I sell the entire Su family, it won't be enough. Su Yuanshan said. Su Rong's older brother did not dare to speak. He lowered his head. Not enough. Sure. Miss Su Rong is a beautiful woman. You can give her to me. Your Su family and Miss Su Rong will be enough. As for the rest, I won't care about it. Mou said. He looked at Su Rong with a burning gaze. Su Rong's face turned pale. You don't even think about having any ideas about Rong. Su Yuanshan roared. Don't even think? Since you can't, then don't blame me for being impolite. Mou said ferociously. A terrifying aura emanated from his body. Peak Emperor. Lu Ming squinted his eyes slightly. Mou's cultivation was at the Peak Emperor realm. Mou's subordinates also burst out with a powerful aura and pressed down on the Su family. The people of the Su family couldn't resist at all, especially Su Yuanshan. Under the pressure of the other party's aura, his body staggered back. His face turned pale and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Father! Su Rong was extremely worried. Su Yuanshan was already seriously injured, and now that he was even more injured, he would be in danger if this continued. If you don't do as I say, the Su family will be destroyed today. Mou said coldly. Around them no one spoke. Fengming country was founded on martial arts, and everything was spoken with martial arts. The strong stood in high positions, and the weak were like ants. It was extremely cruel. If the Su family had the strength to kill Mou, the commander would not say anything. Mou, you won't die a good death. Su Rong cursed. Who can kill me? Mou said ferociously. Me. At this moment, a voice rang out and reverberated throughout the entire area. Many people were shocked. Who dared to be so bold as to say that he could kill Mou? Mou's eyes were filled with cold killing intent as he followed the voice and looked at the speaker. Finally, his gaze landed on Lu Ming. The person who spoke just now was Lu Ming. Kid, you say? You want to kill me? Mou enunciated each word. His murderous intent was as cold as a knife. He looked at Lu Ming as if he was looking at a dead man. It seems like you're not deaf. I heard that as long as I challenge you and defeat you, I can take your place and become the commander's guard? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Hee, you want to become the commander's guard? You're quite ambitious. Let me tell you it's true. Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Mou said ferociously. Lu Ming don't. Mou has the cultivation of the peak of the void interpretation stage. Moreover, his strength is the best among those at the peak of the void interpretation stage. Su Rong sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. She was very worried. Profound void martial stage? Wasn't it the great emperor? Could it be that Netherworld Mountain's realm division is different from the heaven realm and evil god realm? Lu Ming's heart stirred. However, now was not the time to ask for details. Mou, I'm officially challenging you now. Do you dare to accept my challenge? Lu Ming shouted directly. Lu Ming had his own plan. The local forces in Netherworld Mountain were extremely powerful. There were even martial god realm experts who wanted to obtain opportunities in Netherworld Mountain and even kill the alien races. They had to borrow power. It borrowed the power of the living beings of Netherworld Mountain. This way, not only could he exterminate the alien races, but he could also obtain resources. It would be difficult to rely on himself. He believed that the other races would do the same. Now it was up to who was faster. He would first become the commander of the guards, and then continue to climb up. When he had a certain amount of power in Fengming, he could use the power of Fengming to find the heaven realm creatures and foreign race powerhouses, gathering all the living beings in the heaven realm, killing the foreign races, and finding opportunities. Challenge MOU? Many people in the surroundings were stunned. Su Yuanshan and the others were also stunned. Lu Ming looked so young, and he wanted to challenge MOU. He was too bold. Lu Ming, Su Rong was worried. Although Lu Ming was powerful and had defeated more than 30 experts with one move, MOU was an expert at the peak of the void interpretation stage. His subordinates could not compare to him. You want to challenge me? MOU's eyes flickered continuously, revealing a cold light. What's wrong? You don't dare to? Lu Ming said in disdain. Ha ha ha, brat, why wouldn't I dare? However, let me see your strength. If you don't have some strength, why would any random cat or dog come to challenge me? How would I have so much time? MOU sneered. Lord Protector, let me test his strength. Behind MOU, a burly man in iron armor walked out. This burly man had a pair of horns on his head that were as sharp as blades. Alright, you can try. You can kill him directly. MOU said coldly. Your subordinate understands. The bullhorn man said coldly. He then walked toward Lu Ming with a battle axe in his hand. Kid, make your move. Buzz. As soon as the bullhorn man finished speaking, Lu Ming moved. A spear ray shot towards the bullhorn man at an extremely fast speed. Before the bullhorn man could react, he was pinned to the ground by Lu Ming's spear radiance. Chapter 2464 One-shot kill. It was an instant kill. Many people were stunned. The bullhorn man's cultivation base was not weak. He was at the 5th stage of the insightful emptiness realm, but he was actually killed in an instant. When many people looked at Lu Ming, the coldness in their eyes was completely different from just now. Lu Ming's ability to kill the bullhorn man with one move was enough to show that he could not be underestimated. MOU's eyes also narrowed slightly, a trace of solemnness flashing through them. Can I challenge you now? Lu Ming's gaze turned to MOU. You have some ability. A fierce light flashed in MOU's eyes. With a wave of his hand, a blood-red saber appeared in his hand, emitting a bloody smell. From this, it could be seen that many people had died in MOU's hands. Little brother, you have to make him take out his guard token. That way, if you defeat him, you can obtain the position of Commander Guard. Su Yuanshan reminded him. You think he can defeat me? MOU snorted coldly, but he still followed the rules and took out the guard token, putting it on his belt. Make your move. MOU said ferociously. You should make the first move. I'll give you a chance to make a move. Lu Ming said. What he meant was that once he made his move, he would have no chance. MOU's expression turned ugly, revealing a cold killing intent. Since you're looking for death, I'll fulfill your wish. Bang. MOU's figure was like a bolt of lightning, rushing toward Lu Ming and slashing the saber in his hand. It was fast, accurate, and powerful. Lu Ming stood still. In his palm, the power of domination condensed into a long spear, which he held in front of him. Clang. MOU's saber stood on Lu Ming's long spear. Lu Ming's body was as steady as Mount Tai and he did not move. The huge rebound force made MOU's body shake violently, and he retreated continuously. His combat strength is indeed powerful. Lu Ming's heart stirred. In the heaven realm, MOU's fighting power was considered strong even among peak great emperors. There were strong and weak cultivators in the same realm. MOU was considered strong among peak great emperors. However, it was nothing in Lu Ming's eyes. At this moment, MOU was extremely shocked. He had used all his strength in that move just now. intending to kill Lu Ming in one move. However, the final result was that Lu Ming did not move at all. Instead, he was forced to retreat. At this moment, he understood that Lu Ming's ability was above his. No, I can't just give up my position as a guard for nothing. Mou roared in his heart. In Fengming country, there were a total of 13 commanders. Each of them led an army and held a high position, and each commander only had 18 guards. One could imagine how great the power of this position was. It was hard to come by, and he did not want to give it up. Buzz. He turned around and ran. He had actually fled without fighting. Since you've already accepted the challenge, don't you think it's too late to run? Lu Ming's cold voice was heard. His muscles trembled and his body rushed towards Mou like lightning. The long spear in his hand was thrust out at an extremely fast speed. Mou was shocked. He wanted to turn around to defend, but it was too late. Ift. The long spear pierced through Mou's head and killed him. Mou's body fell heavily to the ground. His eyes were wide open, and he died with grievances. He had come this time with the intention of taking the Su family into his own pocket, and taking the Su family's beautiful young lady under his belt. He had not expected to lose his life here. Lu Ming stretched out his hand, and the guard token on Mou's belt flew into his hand. Mou's men all looked frightened, and then turned to run, scattering in a hubbub. Mou is dead. At first Su Rong, Su Yuanshan, and the others were stunned, but then they became ecstatic. Now that Mou was dead, the divine stones that Big Brother Su Rong owed Mou would naturally be gone. No one would find trouble with them anymore, so they were naturally happy. Thank you, Brother Lu Ming, for saving me. Su Yuanshan had already learned of Lu Ming's name from Su Rong, and came over to express his gratitude. You're too polite. I only made a move because I wanted to get the position of his guard. Lu Ming smiled, then picked up the token in his hand and asked, Senior, how do I use this token? That's simple. As long as you take this token and meet the Lord Commander, as long as the Lord Commander agrees, you will naturally be able to inherit the position of the Commander's guard. Under normal circumstances, the Lord Commander will agree, because the stronger you are, the more beneficial it is to the Lord Commander. Su Yuanshan explained. Back then, when Mou had forced the Su family, Su Yuanshan had challenged Mou, hoping to defeat him and get his guard position. In this way, the Su family's crisis could be resolved. Unfortunately, he was not Mou's match and was instead seriously injured by Mou. Father, it's all thanks to Lu Ming that we were able to capture the Jade Blood Fox. Su Rong said. You caught the Jade Blood Fox? Su Yuanshan was overjoyed. He then thanked Lu Ming solemnly. Lu Ming was really the benefactor of the Su family. First, he helped them catch the Jade Blood Fox and his injuries could be treated. Then he killed Mou. Without Lu Ming, the Su family would really be finished. He was very grateful to Lu Ming. Brother Lu Ming, come in and have a seat. Men, prepare a banquet. Su Yuanshan welcomed Lu Ming into the Su family, and instructed the servants to prepare a banquet. The surrounding onlookers also dispersed. All of this was not surprising to them. In the country of Fengming, such challenges were common. Not only were there people challenging the guards of the commanders, there were even people challenging the commanders. The Su family treated Lu Ming warmly as a distinguished guest. After that, Lu Ming stayed at the Su family for a few days. He read through the huge amount of information that the Su family had collected, and had a better understanding of Nether Mountain. There were many races in Netherworld Mountain. There were the bull-headed race, the scaled race, the serpent-men race, and so on. There were dozens of races of all sizes. Moreover, the cultivation realm in Netherworld Mountain was very different from that in the Heaven Realm. The first few stages were basically the same, but after reaching the Martial Emperor Realm, it was very different. The Martial Emperor Realm in Netherworld Mountain was divided into the Void Prying Stage, True Void Stage, Void Interpretation Stage, and Void Transformation Stage. Each stage was divided into 7 stages. They corresponded to the Void Emperor, the True Emperor, the Great Emperor, and the Heavenly Emperor. For example, Mou was at the peak of the Void Realm, which was the same as a peak Great Emperor. As for the living beings of Netherworld Mountain, They didn't cultivate any nomological laws or great Taos. They didn't even come into contact with the heavenly Tao. What they cultivated was pure power. Above the transformation void martial stage was the God realm, also known as God. This point was exactly like what the ancestral dragon had said. The living beings here called Netherworld Mountain the Netherworld world. Within the Yellow Springs world, there were hundreds of factions and countries, each occupying a region and ruling a region. As for the country of Fengming, it was only a small country on the edge of the Yellow Springs world. In addition, Lu Ming also saw the records about the cursed land. There were some places in the Yellow Springs world that the living beings here could not enter at all. If they entered, they would die. The living beings of the Yellow Springs world called them the Cursed Lands. Chapter 2465. The First Guard, the Cursed Land. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The Cursed Land was the place they were looking for. The people of Netherworld Mountain couldn't enter, because they had been cursed for generations. However, outsiders could enter. There might be opportunities in there. Moreover, Lu Ming was overjoyed to find out that there was such a cursed land in Fengming country. It was in the capital of Fengming country. It seems that I made the right choice by choosing to be the commander's guard. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Lu Ming stayed at the Su family for 2 days. Under Su Rong's reluctant gaze, he bade them farewell. After that, Lu Ming walked towards the Great Ming City's governor's manor. The commander who was guarding this place was called Yi Yang. It could be said that he was the most powerful person in the Great Ming City. He ruled dozens of nearby cities and had millions of troops. The governor's manor was located at the center of the Great Ming City. Not long after, a vast mansion appeared before Lu Ming's eyes. At the gate of the mansion, there was a group of big men in iron armor standing guard. "Who's there?" "Stop." Lu Ming was stopped the moment he arrived. "I want to see Commander Yi Yang." The guard token appeared in Lu Ming's hands. The commander's guard command token. The guard's expression changed, then he smiled and said, "So you have a guard token? Sir, please wait a moment. Well, report this to the commander." Since Lu Ming had a guard token, it meant that he had defeated a guard, and was very likely to inherit that guard's position. In that case, his status would be far above theirs. Naturally, they did not dare to offend Lu Ming. "All right." Lu Ming nodded. He kept the guard token and waited quietly. After a long while, the guard came out and reported, "The commander wants to see you. Please follow me." Then he turned around and walked inside. Lu Ming followed him into the commander's residence. They passed through several corridors and courtyards before they arrived at a large hall. At the entrance of the hall, the burly man who was guarding the door did not dare to enter. He gestured for Lu Ming to enter while he himself retreated. Lu Ming stepped into the hall and realized that it was already full of people. At the head of the table sat a middle-aged man with a sinister face. His eyes were long and narrow, and when he opened and closed them, he gave off a cold and gloomy feeling. However, what attracted Lu Ming's attention the most was the lower half of the person's body. The lower half of this person's body was a snake's tail. It was a serpent man, and the aura on his body was extremely shocking. Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming could immediately sense that this person's cultivation was at the Celestial Emperor, which was the void transformation stage of the Netherworld. On both sides of the hall, there were more than 10 people sitting. There were men and women, old and middle-aged. All of them had powerful auras, and were peak emperors. This must be the commander and his guards. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He then stepped forward and cupped his fists. "TM Lu Ming. Greetings, Commander. You killed Mou?" Yang asked from the seat of honor. "Not bad." Lu Ming nodded. "Take out your guard token and let me take a look," Yang said. Lu Ming nodded. He waved his hand and the guard token appeared in his hand. "Lord Commander, may I ask if I can inherit the position of protector?" Lu Ming asked. "Ehehe, what a joke. You want to inherit the position of protector?" The one who spoke was not Commander Yi Yang, but a middle-aged man sitting on the left. He had a pair of bull horns and eyes as big as copper bells. "According to the rules, I can inherit Mou's position after killing him. Why can't I inherit the position of a guard?" Lu Ming asked. Ridiculous. I received news that you attacked Mou from behind. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been his match. Such a despicable person wants to inherit the position of guard. It's ridiculous. Now you dare to come here. Well, today I'll avenge Mou. The bull-headed man said coldly. He stepped forward and his powerful aura pressed toward Lu Ming. This bull-headed man was named Blue. He had a very good relationship with Mou. He was also the strongest among the 18 guards under Yi Yang. He had received news that Mou had been killed by Lu Ming's sneak attack from behind. He was furious and was about to avenge Mou. He did not expect Lu Ming to come to his door. Yi Yang sat at the head of the table with a sneer on the corner of his mouth, but he didn't stop them. He had also received the news that Mou had been stabbed to death by Lu Ming from behind. He also wanted to see if Lu Ming had the ability. If he did not, Blue would have killed him for nothing. I'm afraid you're a bit lacking. Lu Ming cast a casual glance at Blue. Lu Ming didn't care about a peak great emperor no matter how strong he was. You're a despicable man who only knows how to sneak attack me from behind. How dare you be so arrogant? Die. Whirlwind kill. A wide battle axe appeared in Blue's hands. He raised the battle axe and charged at Lu Ming. In the process of charging towards Lu Ming, Blue's entire body began to spin rapidly, bringing along his battle axe. Like a whirlwind, he swept towards Lu Ming with astonishing power. Whirlwind kill. It's whirlwind kill. Big Brother Blue has used a killing move from the start. That kid is finished. Big Brother Blue has used his killing move. Not many people at the Profound Void Martial stage can fight against him. That kid is dead for sure. He will be ground into mincemeat. The other guards sneered coldly, as if they were watching a show. They seemed to have already seen the scene of Lu Ming being strangled to death. Boom. At this moment, Lu Ming made his move. He took a step forward and threw a punch. The entire hall rumbled. Thump. Lu Ming's fist collided with Blue's battle axe, creating a loud boom. Blue's battle axe was then sent flying far away. Then a shrill cry was heard. Blue's burly body was crushed by Lu Ming's fist force and flew far away. He fell heavily on the ground and spat out a large mouthful of blood. With just one move, Blue had been severely injured. In the hall, gasps could be heard. The guards widened their eyes in disbelief. Blue was the strongest among them. However, he was defeated by Lu Ming in one move after he had used his killing move. Lu Ming's combat strength was shocking. They understood that Lu Ming did not need a sneak attack to kill Mou. He could easily kill Mou in a head-on battle. Just this little bit of battle power? I thought he would be very strong. How disappointing. Lu Ming shook his head and cast a disdainful glance at Blue. Just now he had shown mercy for Yi Yang's sake. Otherwise, with one punch, Blue would have been reduced to nothing. Blue was so angry that he spat out 2 more mouthfuls of blood. He was so embarrassed he wanted to die. Haha, good. You're Lu Ming, right? From now on, you'll be my guard, my first guard. On the seat of honor, Yi Yang laughed out loud, his eyes revealing his excitement. Chapter 2465 Commander's Assembly 3. Many thanks, Commander. Lu Ming cupped his fists. All right, you'll live in Mou's mansion in the future. If there's anything you need, feel free to tell me, Yi Yang said with a smile. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Congratulations, Guard Lu. Congratulations, Brother Lu. At the side, the other guards were all smiling as they congratulated Lu Ming. It was the complete opposite of the situation just now. Now Lu Ming had proven his ability and was highly regarded by Yi Yang. He was called the first guard by Yi Yang. Of course, they had to build a good relationship with Lu Ming. As for Blue, let him go to the side. This world was always so realistic. Blue stood at the side, his expression extremely ugly. After that, someone led Lu Ming to a place. After 2 rounds, they arrived in front of a mansion. This mansion used to be Mou's mansion and now it belonged to Lu Ming. As soon as Lu Ming entered the mansion, he was greeted by a group of people who bowed to him. This subordinate greets Lord Guard. There were more than 100 people who kowtowed to Lu Ming. You're free. Lu Ming nodded. These people used to be Mou's subordinates, and now they had become his subordinates. Sir Guard, what are your orders? Some people looked at Lu Ming with smiles and fawning looks. You guys go do what you need to do. Lu Ming waved his hand and dismissed the crowd. He found a room to stay in. He sat cross-legged in his room and started to cultivate. The mysterious energy between heaven and earth continued to gather toward Lu Ming. After a long while, Lu Ming opened his eyes. The effect of the path understanding ancient tree is getting smaller and smaller in my cultivation. Lu Ming muttered. He realized that ever since he had comprehended the ruler Tao, the Tao comprehension ancient tree had been of little use to him. Lu Ming seemed to be able to merge with the world, and even dominate the world. He could directly comprehend the way of the dominator from the world. The effect of the path understanding ancient tree had become minimal, and was not of much help to Lu Ming. The Tao comprehension ancient tree was very useful for the comprehension of laws, great Taos, and heavenly Taos, but it was not very useful for the Tao of rulers. After some thought, a storage ring appeared in Lu Ming's hand. This storage ring was MOU's. Lu Ming had killed MOU and naturally obtained his storage ring. He extended his spiritual senses into it. The next moment, a few combat weapons appeared in Lu Ming's hands. What a strange weapon! Lu Ming took the combat weapon and sized it up carefully. The weapons in the Yellow Springs world were also very different from those outside. It's really amazing. Lu Ming injected the world energy into the combat weapon and sensed it carefully. He was shocked. He found that the combat weapons here were engraved with many arrays. These arrays interacted with each other and formed many wonderful functions. Once energy was injected into them, these arrays would be activated, causing the combat weapons to burst out with amazing power. Moreover, Lu Ming realized that even if he injected the world energy, he could still activate the array inside. Lu Ming tried a few times and realized that these few combat weapons were equivalent to the arch weapons. None of them were equivalent to celestial arch weapons. Thinking about it, MOU was only a great emperor. How could he have a weapon equivalent to a celestial emperor weapon? If I can get some combat weapons that are equivalent to celestial emperor weapons in the netherworld world, and bring them out, the experts in the heaven realm can also use them. That will greatly enhance the strength of the heaven realm. At the thought of this, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Then he kept the combat weapons and a glittering and translucent stone appeared in Lu Ming's hand. This stone was about the same size as a raw stone. Is this the netherworld world's divine stone? Lu Ming muttered. Then he activated his cultivation technique and absorbed the energy of the divine stone. The energy in the divine stone was exactly the same as the energy drifting between heaven and earth in Netherworld Mountain, but it was many times richer. The energy of a divine stone was absorbed by Lu Ming and was quickly refined by him, turning into his world energy. One divine stone actually contains so much energy. It's equivalent to 10,000 supreme grade raw stones. Lu Ming was shocked. The energy of this divine stone was too much. One piece was equivalent to 10,000 supreme grade raw stones. Lu Ming checked and found that there were 500,000 divine stones in MOU's storage ring. That was 50 billion supreme grade raw stones. 50 billion supreme grade raw stones was already shocking enough. Lu Ming had obtained a large number of supreme grade raw gemstones on the Void Island. There were about 600 to 700 billion of them. Now there was only about 100 billion left. The divine stones on MOU were equivalent to half of the raw stones on Lu Ming's body. Haha, if I can get enough godstones here, I won't have to worry about my cultivation. Lu Ming was overjoyed. His cultivation had consumed too many resources. Now he only had over 10,000 stones of chaos and 100 billion supreme grade raw stones left. These resources were simply not enough. However, once he had enough divine stones, he could do it. A cultivation breakthrough did not necessarily require chaos stones or primordial chaos stones. A single supreme grade raw gemstone could do the same. However, the amount required was astonishing. Therefore, in the past, Lu Ming had always cultivated with the raw gemstones and the chaos stones or the primordial chaos stones. This would greatly reduce the consumption of raw gemstones. However, with more than 10,000 chaos stones, Lu Ming would probably use up all of them if he were to break through again. However, as long as he had enough divine stones, he could break through. Lu Ming began to think about how he could collect more divine stones. In that case, he would have enough resources for cultivation even after he left Netherworld Mountain. After tidying up his things, Lu Ming continued to cultivate and comprehend the way of the master. Time flew by and 2 months passed. The past 2 months had been very peaceful. Nothing happened. Lu Ming cultivated in peace. One day, Yang sent someone to look for Lu Ming, saying that he had something to discuss with him. It was still the same hall where Lu Ming met Yang. There were 2 other people besides Yang. One of them was Blue, who was defeated by Lu Ming. The other was a woman who looked to be in her 30s. She was very beautiful, graceful, and had a mature charm. She was full of strong temptation. This was something that was not difficult to notice from Blue's eyes that were filled with the flames of desire when he glanced at her from time to time. Lu Ming recognized the woman. She was one of Yi Yang's guards. Her name was Liao Min. "I've come to find you today for the commander's assembly." Yi Yang went straight to the point and said his purpose. Blue and Liao Min's expressions were calm. It was obvious that they had known about this long ago. However, Lu Ming was stunned and had some doubts. "Lu Ming, you don't know yet, right? Let me tell you." Yi Yang looked at Lu Ming and said, "There are a total of 13 commanders in Fengming country. Each of them is in charge of a region. However, the territory they are in charge of varies in size. The troops they command also vary in strength and strength. The ranking of the commanders is the deciding factor. The country of Fengming holds a meeting of the commanders every 100 years to determine the ranking of the commanders. In another half a month, it will be the new meeting of the commanders." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.